righty, so there we go. We got some, I think that's all right. Yeah. My name is Dennis Lee. I am the Director of Marketing for Better World Alternatives and a few other companies. And I'd like to introduce you to the Chairman of the Board of our company. Heavenly Father, we're assembled here today. And we're assembled here to do something in your name, Lord. And this is your business. We're working in your field. And our President, the Lord Jesus Christ, and the Secretary Treasurer, the Holy Spirit, we pray that you would all be present here tonight. Many of these people already know you, but I just wanted to introduce you to them so they knew where this was really coming from. In Jesus' precious name, amen. We're going to have some fun tonight. We are. And I think you're going to see some really, really, really amazing things. I'm going to start off here telling you about something that's kind of interesting, kind of amazing. And I'll just read it for you real quick. It says, isn't this amazing? Here's the taxes that you pay. Now, some people start a seminar, they'll tell you a joke. But there's no joke about this. This is the taxes that we're all paying right now. And at least I get you awake anyway. Accounts receivable tax, building permit tax, capital gains tax, CDI, license tax, cigarette tax, corporate income tax, court fines and indirect form of taxes, dog license tax, federal income tax, federal unemployment tax, FUTA, fishing license tax, food license tax, fuel permit tax, gasoline tax, hunting license tax, inheritance tax, interest expense, which is tax on top of the money, inventory tax, IRS interest charges, which is tax on top of taxes, IRS penalties, which is taxes on top of taxes on top of taxes, liquor tax, local income tax, luxury taxes, marriage license tax, Medicare tax, property tax, real estate tax, septic permit tax, service charge taxes, Social Security tax, road usage taxes, state taxes, recreational vehicle tax, road toll booth taxes, school tax, state income tax, state unemployment tax, which is SUTA, telephone federal excise tax, telephone federal universal service fee tax, telephone federal state and local surcharge tax, telephone minimum usage surcharge tax, telephone recruiting and non-recruiting charges tax, telephone state and local tax, telephone usage charge tax, toll bridge taxes, toll tunnel taxes, traffic fines and other indirect form of taxation, trailer registration tax, utility taxes, vehicle license registration tax, vehicle sales tax, watercraft registration tax, well permit tax, workers' compensation tax, and hotel room taxes. And they're really high. I know that on the road here. I have to make a comment about this, and that is that only one of those taxes existed 100 years ago, and that was sales tax. That's it. And our nation at that time was the most prosperous nation in the world, and it had absolutely no national debt. It had the largest middle class in the world, and mom stayed home and raised the kids. What happened? Now we're getting close to $8 trillion worth of national debt. Kind of interesting, isn't it? Well, I want you to understand tonight that hopefully you have come into another dimension. This is another dimension. Now, not that old show, what was it, Twilight Zone or Toilet Zone or whatever you call that. But this is a whole other dimension here tonight. Hopefully tonight you're going to know something that you didn't know. Because see, our problem in America is we don't know what we don't know, and we don't know that we don't know it. That's our problem. And the Bible says the truth will set you free. So we're going to tonight try to open your reality a little bit and show you why they call you the consumer. Do you know why you're called the consumer? Because you're the one getting conned. That's why you're the consumer. Now, we're going to show you some very unique technologies that we have out on the market. And I've got two goals, actually three goals tonight. My first goal is I'm going to want to try to make you a customer. I'm going to show you things one right after the other, and I'll bet you anything you want to bet me that I can show you at least one thing that you say, man, you know something, I'd like to have one of those. Maybe even that lotion that we started out just showing you so that we would spare the time in this. But we're going to show you some products tonight, and our goal would be for you to say, you know something, I'd like to have that alternative. Every one of these products are alternatives to products that already exist, because most of the technologies that we receive today are not the best that they can give us. They're what they're willing to give us, because they've been suppressing all the better stuff. Now, the reason for that always comes down to the same thing. It's all about money. It's all about money. But see, we want to bring the world an alternative, a better world alternative. That's why we're called Better World Alternatives. So we're going to show you some alternatives to that. Now, each of you got this sheet when you came in. It has two sides. One is about a DVD called The History of Free Electricity. What a ridiculous thing. Is there such a thing as free electricity? Well, sure there is. There's such a thing as free electricity, and your university knows about it. Everyone here, the university, whichever university is closest to you, you could go there and you could ask them, what's this guy talking about, free electricity? Do you guys know about free electricity? And they'll tell you about solar. Solar energy. By golly, it makes free energy when the sun's shining. They'll tell you about wind machines. How many people know that when a wind machine is blowing, because the wind's blowing on it, that's free electricity? It is free. It doesn't cost you anything to run that wind machine. It doesn't cost you anything to run that solar system, that high-tech thing, boiling water in a tin can on a roof. Man, I mean, that's high-tech, folks. Or even photovoltaics. Kind of like replicating what happens when you put your toes on sand. And then they'll tell you about the third way that they know to make free electricity. They know three of them. Hydroelectricity. If you happen to have water heading somewhere as it flows downhill, you can put it across a little turbine and you can produce electricity for free. So they'll tell you about the three ways they know to make free electricity. But if you get this series of tapes right here, on the second tape, you'll see 7 ways to make free electricity, and not one of them are any of those 3 we just mentioned. Not one of them. But see, instead of having solar energy that works when the sun's shining, or wind energy that works when the wind's blowing, is the sun shining all the time? Is the wind blowing all the time? Yeah, water's continuing to go down toward the ocean, but not everywhere, only wherever it goes. So you can only get that energy under those conditions. I know 7 ways to make free electricity, and every one of them work 24 hours a day, 365 days and nights a year, anywhere on this whole entire planet, from the Antarctica to the Arctic. All the time, 24 hours a day and night. Now you might ask yourself, why doesn't your university know that? Or you might just say, why does this crazy man think he knows that? Either way, I'm going to try tonight to inspire you. Tonight I'm going to try to get you to where you want to look into the things I'm talking about. Now tonight we don't have enough time because they said I can't stay for breakfast. If I could, I'd like to take all the time up to breakfast time, but I know you guys don't want to stay that long. So tonight what I'm going to try to do is give you an appetizer plate. Appetizer, not the whole meal. I'm going to try to get you interested where you say, you know something, we ought to look into this. Because all the information is available on our website. All the information is available in a sales training kit. Now that's the second thing I'm going to try to do tonight. I'm going to try to take some of you fine people tonight and turn you into salespeople for us. I'm hoping to inspire you to want to distribute some of these products for us so that we can get you, your activity, and all of your friends can get involved in this. Now, is there anyone here in the room that's making less than $100,000 a year? We got anybody like that? Anybody? I mean, if you have 10 friends and 10 relatives, then I know that I could show you tonight that you could retire within the next 1 to 2 years. Because if you're making less than $100,000 a year, I'm going to show you tonight how to make $100,000 a year every year for the rest of your life. On the work you do now, assuming you have 10 friends. So if you got 10 friends or relatives, you could actually set up that kind of income tonight. Now that's crazy, but I'm going to try to live up to that and show you that that's entirely possible tonight. See, you might say you're at the right place at the right time. Now, somebody would say, well, wait a minute, is this one of those multi-level marketing programs? Because some people don't like those. And I'm going to tell you, no, this is not one of those multi-level marketing programs. If you want to get involved in buying any of the products that I show you tonight, you can. If you want to get involved in selling any of the products I show you tonight, you can. Now, let's start out first by giving you the rules. You can get a 15% commission distributing any of the products that you see here tonight. Some of them are big ticket items, talking about sales as much as $250,000 for one sale. What's 15% of $250,000? It's a bunch of money. Or some of them are little bitty products, cost $15. Well, you wouldn't make much, 15% of that's not much, but you could sell a lot of those. So it's up to you if you want to do this. You can do it full-time, you can do it part-time, you can do it none of the time, you can do it once or twice or 3 times or 5 times. Okay, or you can just buy products, but that's my goal. Now, also on this sheet of paper, this is my brag sheet. Because on the front end, it talks about free electricity. And you can get that DVD outside. It's $10. And it'll show you the history of free electricity, our free electricity. But on the other side, you got research projects nearing completion. Now, that tape, that DVD tape, research projects, these are written in small ink to get them on the page, small print. But let me tell you something. There's more information here than there is in the Department of Energy. And you got to ask yourself this question. In the last 20 years, this is 10% of what I've been doing. Would you please compare this to what the Department of Energy has been doing for the last 10 years? I would love to be compared to them for the simple reason they haven't been doing much. Now, they have billions of dollars every year to do it on, and I only have had a few million when I started. I'm going to read a couple of highlights on this just to get you encouraged that you ought to get that tape. And by the way, if you don't like it, I'll buy it back from you, whatever you paid for it, any time. Superconductivity at room temperature. We actually did that. Do you know there was a guy who did superconductivity at 200 degrees below zero, and he got a Nobel Prize? I did it in Omaha, Nebraska a few years ago at room temperature. Didn't get any Nobel Prize or anything. Got harassed. Didn't get any prizes, though. Tesla coil concept. Did you know that a technology exists that can send live electricity through the air any distance at all with no wires? If you doubt that, get that DVD because you'll learn that and see that and even understand the concept of it. It was developed by a man named Nikola Tesla. We can send live electricity with no wires at all. V8 Chrysler engine, you can see it run closed loop, means no exhaust at all, on carbon dioxide. Just sitting there running on CO2. Also, you can see a laser camera, a medical laser camera. This camera looks right into the human body. And we could be sitting here with this camera looking at this gentleman's heartbeat right on the monitor, television monitor right now, right through his clothes and everything. Dial it up and look inside of his veins and see if there are any occlusions. I could have a 6-foot concrete wall between me and you right now and be taking all of y'all's picture right now, and you could be making faces at a television monitor through 6 feet of solid concrete. I don't know, Department of Energy got anything like this? I'm not aware of it. We got paint that transfers heat. You paint your driveway, then you walk out in the morning when it snows, get yourself a nice cup of coffee or cocoa and sit back, flip a button and watch your driveway defrost while your neighbor's out there with a shovel. Explosive-proof mesh. We can line any tank, any gas tank, even airplane tanks, and you can shoot at them all day long and you can't blow them up. You can light rags in them and let them burn out and they'll just go out. full of gas or half full of gas or 10% gas, doesn't matter. Plastic houses that can be built by two people. You can build a two-bedroom home in 3 days. Two people. And they go together like a Lego set. And you got to get a color you like because they last 2,000 years. You never have to repaint them and you never have to re-roof them. The roof is good for the whole 2,000 years. No negative impact from the ultraviolet light. And a tornado can sit on top of it and twist the night away and it ain't going nowhere. Biomass converter to run the engine in the car you're driving right now on corn, birdseed, or McDonald's French fries. A tornado engine, speaking of tornadoes, that creates 5,000 horsepower and the engine weighs 174 pounds and is smaller than the one you got under your hood right now. 5,000 horsepower and it runs on water vapors. That's the fuel. You see all this in that tape I'm talking about, that DVD. A personal helicopter, anybody here drive helicopters? A personal helicopter that anybody can get in, even me, and you pull back on it and it goes up, and you push down on it and it goes down, and you go left, it goes left, you go right, it goes right. Anybody can get in it and drive it immediately. A personal helicopter, anybody can fly. Not very costly either. It's just one passenger, but it's a lot of fun. And like I said, 7 ways to make free electricity. It'll also talk about anti-gravity. If anybody here doesn't understand that you can have anti-gravity. Propulsion device that can put your car in space using the engine in it in your driveway. A Pentecost computer, I speak into it in English and it translates immediately into any language in the world. So whatever language, known language in the world, you'll be hearing it in that language. Bring fresh water anywhere in the world, any amount, absolutely free. Dematerialize and rematerialize matter over a telephone line as far as the line goes. I can take my coffee cup in New York and send it over the telephone line to California. That technology, all the things I'm saying and way, 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 way more already exist. How are we doing? If what I just said is right, do you think anybody's keeping any knowledge from you and me? Well, it is. And what have the other people done, the big businesses done, and the government done for the last 20 years? Nothing but harass me and try to keep me from bringing these technologies to you. That's all they've done. Well, that's all right, because we're going to bring them anyway, because how many people know that God is bigger than the government? And God is bigger than big business. And when we go with Him, we don't worry about any of the rest of this stuff. We don't sweat the small stuff, so to speak. Now I'm going to get into some technologies. I cannot show you everything tonight, but I'm going to show you our product line. The things I'm showing you now are available. You can buy them. We can do this. We can modify these things. Now in the first place, we're going to get into this engine over here. Now this engine right here is just like the infernal combustion engine in your car. So if you've got an engine in your car, there's no difference between that engine and that engine right there. We didn't do anything to it, took it right out of the box. How many people heard about the 100-mile-an-hour carburetor? Every time I talk about this stuff, somebody tells me, well, there's a guy one time had a 100-mile carburetor, and he either got killed or bought off or something, but he's not out there anymore. Hear that story? Talk about an urban legend. And you know what that carburetor is called? It's called the Pogue carburetor. P-O-G-U-E, if you want to look it up on the internet. P-O-G-U-E. The Pogue carburetor. And it's real. It does exist. It was real. And what the Pogue carburetor does is it vaporizes your fuel as your fuel goes into your engine. That's what it does. Now, when you vaporize the fuel going into your engine, you're going to get a whole lot different performance out of it than you do whenever you don't vaporize it. You can go to Modern Marvels on the History Channel, a program called Gasoline, and you can actually see right there them talking about the most important thing on your engine is vaporizing your fuel. Now, it's interesting because the guys who manufacture the gas say you need to vaporize your fuel. The guys who build the engine say you need to vaporize your fuel. And then they put a computer in your car. And you know what that computer does? Makes doggone sure no vapors ever hit your engine. That's what it does. Now you're wondering, why would they do that? Well, they say if you don't vaporize your fuel, you get a misfire and you get poor gas mileage. Now you know the guy that's selling you your gas wants you to get great gas mileage. Welcome, welcome. Welcome to the real world. Now, we actually take your engine and modify it. Engine modifications. This is a modified engine right here. I own 6 vehicles that are modified to this technology. We got about 150 mechanics trained to modify engines to this technology. And as soon as this tour is over, we're opening the school again and we're going to start modifying engines. What will it cost you to modify your engine? About $1,500. We'll modify your engine. Well, what will that do for me? Get you up to 4 times the mileage you got now. Anybody in this room wouldn't pay $1,500 to get 4 times your gas mileage? Wouldn't? Yeah, you would. Okay. Well, I'm sure you're not the only one, too. Now, all we do is make sure that fuel is vaporized when it goes into the engine. We do it by taking the exhaust from the engine, having the hot exhaust come out, and the fuel come past that hot exhaust. There are 5 things that this little reactor rod does to your fuel. I don't have time to teach them to you. Go to the internet, get the information, and if you're technical, you learn all about it. And at the end of that, you're going to be saying, he's right, he's right. I know you are. That's why I say go. But one of the things that happens is we vaporize the fuel. I can't tell you all about it, but actually whatever your fuel is, we also separate all of the compounds in your gasoline or in your fuel into elements. So when they come up here, they're fully vaporized, but they're ready to go in your engine. They're not compounds, they're elements. Now, elements burn so clean that you never, ever, ever have to change the oil in that car again. Forget oil changes. I'm sorry, you probably enjoy doing that, but it's all right. If your engine manufacturer says you got to change oil every 3,000 miles, get under there, put it in a pan, close it back up, and just pour it back in the top again every 3,000 miles. You'll change it. But you never have to change it again as long as the engine runs. I've never changed the engine. I've never changed this one. And we ran this one across America in the year 2000. So 6 years we've been doing this. Now, we're going to just stop talking about it and run it for you. One of the crazy things we're going to show you with this engine, then we're going to get even crazier over here, is we're going to show you can use just about anything for fuel. You can use pickle juice. Anybody here using pickle juice now? Pickle juice for fuel? That's exactly right. You can use Coca-Cola or Pepsi-Cola, and the Coke guys love this. I'm surprised they haven't got a pump out there for that. You can use anything at all that is liquid. Now, I'm going to try to make that point to you here. So you can use anything that's liquid, but you can also use 80% water, 20% gas. Now, if you used 80% water, 20% gas, what would that do to your gas mileage? That'd be 4 times right there. Now, I can actually modify it, get you 4 times on your gas mileage, and then you can use half gas and half water. What would that do to that? It'd give you 8 times gas mileage. Okay, now, so it's going to be kind of interesting because we're going to go ahead and do something for you. We're going to show you that you can use anything in here, even 80% water, 20% gasoline. Now, let's just start out getting crazy here. Here's some Pepsi. Anybody drink this stuff? Any Pepsi drinkers? First hand up. Okay, go ahead and take a drink of that. Open him up and drink him real quick here. All right, open it, yeah. Check it out. All right. Now, I'm not going to ask you if that's the real thing because that's Pepsi. That's not Coke, but... Okay, Pepsi? All right, that's Pepsi. Now, you're in luck, brother, because we'll just pour some of that in, and then Ricky will take that to you. And I think it's the law. If you use Pepsi, you got to use Coca-Cola. I think that's the law. But anybody drink this stuff, Coca-Cola? All right, we got a drink right here. Okay, go ahead and just, now tell me if that's a real thing. That's the real thing? Yep. All right, that's the real thing. Let's put some Coke and some Pepsi in there. Now, next thing we're going to use is Frappuccino. Anybody here drink Frappuccino? Got a Frappuccino drinker all the way in the inside there. Tell you what, I'm going to loosen that. Just go ahead and pass it down to him. Let him try that real quick. Let's keep moving here, though. Take a little chug of that real quick and verify it. Pass him back to me. And then we'll get him back to you. Don't worry. See, sometimes it's good to have a quick hand, quick response. Now, the next thing we're going to use here, crude oil. Anybody drink this stuff? Crude oil. No takers here, huh? Thought we might have somebody from the Middle East or something that's just dedicated here. All right, now we're just going to take some gunky old black yicky oil. You see that? We're going to dump that in there. Now, what would happen if you put that in your gas in your engine? Anybody know? Smoke like crazy, right? I mean, you look like a flak machine going down the road. Now, this is the exhaust here. We're going to exhaust it right in the room, and you're not going to see any oil coming out of this at all. Now, we'll also put some pickle juice in here. Oh, man. Pickle juice. Dill pickle juice. See, you've even got a dill pickle in there. Barbecue sauce. Oh, man, that's the real deal there. Let's clump some barbecue sauce up in there. Make us a nice fuel. Look at that barbecue sauce. Kikkoman soy sauce. So it'll work in Japan just as well as it will in America. It's nice to know. So the Oriental people, soy sauce. Oriental people, we can do it there as well. And you know, the kids love ketchup here. This is not Heinz, by the way. Okay, so we got us some ketchup there. Get a good order of ketchup going. Some A1 steak sauce. I'll get the steak later. All right. Don't let me forget that, Ricky. We're going to go get a steak later. And some Red Hot, original Red Hot hot sauce. Oh, yeah, that's it. Hey, that's the stuff right there. Red Hot. Now I know that thing's going to run. I'm not going to do that BAM thing that Emerald does all the time, but whoop. Ooh. Now, while this is running, I'm going to put my face down in here, and you're not going to see me tearing, and you're not going to hear me coughing, but I'm going to be breathing all the fumes that are coming out of this to show you that there's no pollution here at all. So if I'm going to have my face down here, I want something that smells good on this thing, okay? This engine can have bad breath here. Put some Listerine in that guy. And just to make sure, I'm going to throw in a little bit of Menon Skin Bracer aftershave. That'll work. I want that to smell good if my nose is going to be down there. Now, has anyone in here ever put sugar in somebody else's gas tank? I know you didn't put it in your own gas tank. Why? What will happen if you put sugar in a gas tank? Does anybody know? That's sugar. It'll freeze it up right now, and you can throw that engine away. Let's make sure we get plenty of sugar in there. Now, I told you guys that I can run this on water and gas. So I'm next going to put in, as my last ingredient, a little bit of water. So we're going to put some water in here. Now, this is kind of unique water. This is Ricky water. That's Ricky right there. As a matter of fact, I'm going to let Ricky put that in. That's not mine, that's... Hey, it's nice to know wherever you run out of gas, you can always get home. Now, wouldn't you say that we have just mixed up about the weirdest thing you could ever imagine you're going to run an engine on? What do you think? And we're going to see if we can start this engine and we can go with this engine here.
Do you have gasoline in the bottom of the beginning?
There's a little bit of gasoline in the bottom, yes. I usually talk about that, but a little bit of it. You got to have some hydrocarbon. All right, now let's go ahead and start him up. Okay, now it's running pretty good. It's not hot. This is not hot because all the heat is going back into the engine. And if we look, there's no pollution here. No pollution. You can't do that on your engine. It'll be black. If I can get down here, no problem. Breathe it. I'm not crying. I'm not coughing. No problem at all. No problem. Now, shut it down, Ricky. We'll run it a short time, and then what we'll do is we're going to run it on a little bit of gasoline and water. We got about 20% gasoline and 80% water. So you see that portion, I'll drink this is water. Oh, this ain't that thing you use for your sample.
Never tell.
He'd never do that to me. Not on the road, he knows I'd get even. All right, pour the water in with the gas. Take it and put it in here. Now you got the little Brillo pad in there to mix it up to keep it mixed. So that comes in and aerates it and mixes it up while it's running. I'll let you tighten that up. You got to get a good seal on it. All right. Not hot. No pollution. No black, no pollution. And once again, I can breathe it. No problem. It's rolling. No problem. Want to do that? No problem. Not hot. Smell it? Shut down, Ricky. Now, the real test of this whole thing is that I can modify your car engine for $1,500, and then you can be doing what I'm doing in my car engines right now. But let me tell you something else that's way more interesting than that. Because this right here, all master mechanics will tell you what I'm about to do is impossible. All thermodynamicists will tell you this is impossible. Until they come and talk to me and they see that I'm doing it, or if you get our videos and we explain it in there. I'm sorry I can't take the time to do that tonight, but we fully explain it to you. And then once you do that, you see them doing this. Because we're not defying any of the laws of physics. Now, this right here is the exhaust in our engine. When I turn this on, I'll put the rag up here and it'll be doing this because there is exhaust coming out of this engine. So it'll be doing like that. No exhaust here, no exhaust here, no exhaust here. And this is not exhaust. This will be sucking this rag in. This is air intake because you've got to have air to make the burn. So you've got to have air intake in here. Now, this is kind of interesting because this is a ball valve. When I turn this ball valve this way, I shut that off. That means that if I put the rag up here, it'll be doing this. There's no gas there at all. It will not be coming out, no exhaust whatsoever. There'll be no exhaust here, no exhaust here, and once again, it'll suck the rag in here. Now, if you take a potato and stick it on a tailpipe of somebody's car, what happens? It won't run. You're done. Banana, potato. Well, I'm doing the same thing when I shut this ball valve off. I'm shutting off the exhaust. Now I'm going to start it with it open so I can start it. But once I get it started, it'd be the equivalent of sticking a potato in that tailpipe then. Not going to work. Now, I don't have time to explain to you exactly how this is happening, but I will give you a couple of hints. But I want to tell you the main points from your perspective as a consumer. And by the way, we're the anti-con for consumers. We're here to give you the truth. Now, in this guy right here, and by the way, General Motors knows this. All the engine manufacturers know this. All the people who sell gasoline know this. That's the reason why they put a computer on your car. That's the reason why they say you can't touch the exhaust on the engine, because then they've legislated that to try to keep us from doing this. But it isn't going to work, and it didn't work, and we already know how to do it, and we could even use your exhaust manifold. We don't need to get inside the exhaust, so we can get the heat. That's all we really need is the heat. Now, so I want to just tell you the most important part. When you buy $1 worth of gasoline, ask any mechanic, if you're really, 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 really lucky, how efficient is your engine? About 18%. Am I right? About 18%. That's how efficient your engine is. 18%. Now, what does that mean? That means when you buy $1 worth of gas, 18 cents worth of it is getting you down the road. Where's the rest of it going? Right out your exhaust pipe and heat losses. So you're losing it out of the engine. Now, when you buy $1 worth of gas, you're getting 18 cents worth of travel. This is the good neighbor plan. You're giving your neighbor more of the gas that you're buying than you're using for yourself. Do they appreciate it? When's the last time your neighbor said, hey, thanks for all that gas fumes you've been sending my way? They don't appreciate it. So I say they're not going to appreciate it anyway. Why not shut it off? Now, if I shut it off, that 82 cents isn't coming out anymore. Where's it going? It's going right back into your gas tank, mixing with fresh gas. So the unburned gas and the fresh gas are coming up as molecules coming through this separation process, coming back into the engine as elements, mixing with air, and reburning until what? Until 100% of the gas you are buying is burned. All of it is burned. Now, which would be more gooder, 18 cents or $1? You'd rather burn $1, I'm sure. Now, if you're wondering how that happens because you're technical and you're like, wow, how could you do that? Because you'd be saying, wait a minute, you'd blow the gas tank up. You'd have all that back pressure. Got to have a high side, that's the explosion. Got to have a low side where you can throw the gas or throw the unburned gas too so that you can get rid of it, because you've got to have a high and low side. Well, if you can't send it to the environment, where is the low side? I'll give you one hint, and then get the videotapes and see all of it and understand all of it. Get the sales training program, because I can't get you to sell these unless you understand it, and you'll see all the answers in that. Take it to any college professor, and he'll say, he's not defying the laws of physics. But the hint is, the intake of all engines is a vacuum. Anybody know that? There you go. That's a pretty good low side. It's less than zero. Anyway, I'm not going to talk anymore about it. We just got to run it because we've got a lot of things to show you tonight, and I want to show you how to make money. Thank you. Okay. Okay, we'll turn it on. It's running. Got it on a lawnmower so it can throw grass. There's the exhaust. See the exhaust? That's exhaust. No exhaust here. No exhaust through here. No exhaust here. And this is intake. It's sucking the rag in. Now we're going to go ahead and shut it off. Close it. Did it shut off? Isn't it still running? And you notice there's no exhaust. No exhaust here, no exhaust here. Try to suck the rag in. Now, by the way, this is impossible. You can't do this. This is impossible. No exhaust. None at all. How much pollution would there be? None. How do I shut it off? I break the vacuum on the low side. Watch what happens when I break the vacuum. When I break the vacuum, it stops. Can't feed into a vacuum if there's no vacuum there. All right? Now, go ahead. How much pollution would there be in that? Wouldn't somebody think that the EPA would want to hear about this? You know who the EPA is? The Environmental Pollution Authority? See, those guys would not even allow us to bring this engine into their office. We went to their office. They wouldn't allow us to have it in. They said, no engines in the building. So we said, okay, you can come outside and see it. And they wouldn't even come outside their building to the parking lot to see this. And I said, well, we'll do it on our side of the glass window, and you can look through the windows and see it. And they wouldn't do that either. They said, no, we're not allowed to endorse any product. Isn't this interesting? But you got to understand something. When we end pollution, don't we end the EPA? And so that's a little bit too much non-pollution for them. What to you is an acceptable level of pollution? For me, it's 0. But we can modify the engines to run with no pollution at all. Tonight I'm going to show you we can end all fossil fuels for any purpose at all. We don't need fossil fuels at all. That is a lie. The fact that you're buying fossil fuels for any purpose at all is a big fat lie. You don't need it. Now let me show you some other stuff. This right here, Ricky, am I set here? Can you pull this out? Appreciate it, buddy. You're bigger than me, and I just ain't quite got the beef for it. Oh, yeah, I got it. Okay, now, this right here, that's good. This right here is an electric motor. This right here is an electric motor. Now, this is a 1 horsepower AC electric motor. I pick it up, and you notice it's running, right? Am I right? It's running? Now, the interesting thing about this motor is that the wires are cut. So how does the motor run if the wires are cut? Where would the energy input be? How many people know if you're going to get energy out of a mechanical device, you have to have energy coming into a mechanical device to do that? It's the laws of physics. So this can't be right, that this is running with no power source. There has to be an energy source, so let's look for it. There it is right there. It's a 9-volt flashlight battery. Now, does anybody here know that you can't run a 1 horsepower AC motor on a 9-volt flashlight battery? Any technical people here should know that. But see, it's running, isn't it? And watch what happens when I disconnect one terminal from the battery. It stops. And then when I reconnect them, what does it do? Takes off running again. Well, you know why? Because if you build motors right and you wind them properly, you can run a 1 horsepower AC motor on a 9-volt flashlight battery. That's if you wind them properly. Anybody hear about garbage in, garbage out on computers? It works the same way with universities. If you're going to teach people to wind them wrong and tell them that's the right way to wind them, no one's going to get this. But see, all we do is just rewind the motor, and we can rewind it right. Now, why do you think people deliberately wind motors improperly? Why do you think they would do that? The reason for that is they want it to use more electricity than it actually needs to get the job done. Who's that good for? Electric company. Now, this is a well-known good old boy routine. It's called "you lie and I'll swear to it." So the electric utility company, somebody said, well, is that a conspiracy? I'll never get used to the fact that I know Christians in this country who are wondering if there's a conspiracy in this country or not. You got a devil and demons, and you got the good guys and the angels, and you're wondering if there's a conspiracy. Well, let me put your mind to rest right now. Yes, indeed, there's a conspiracy, and they're conspiring to cheat you, the consumer. Is there fraud going on? Yes, there is a fraud. So if you came here tonight to see a fraud, I don't want to disappoint you. I'm going to show you a fraud. The fraud is General Electric, Westinghouse, Dayton Motors, all the people winding motors are deliberately defrauding and cheating the American people. Isn't that amazing? I'm standing here saying that. I've done it for about 15 years now on national tours. I've never been sued by General Electric. Isn't that interesting? You know why I was never sued? They don't want me to prove this in a court of law. So let me go turn people on and tell some people about it. We developed this technology. It's called the power controller. Power controller. Wouldn't it be cool if we could make one of these for Washington, D.C.? Power controller. What we can do is we can plug this in, unplug your motor that's deliberately built to run wrong, plug our power controller in and correct it and make it run right. It won't be wasting any electricity. Has anybody here ever touched an electric motor that was running for a long period of time and it was not hot? And it wasn't hot. No, you know how many times I've gotten an answer to that nationwide? Never. No one has ever said, yes, I've been running motors for long periods of time and they're not hot. If you have ever touched an electric motor and it's hot, you have been defrauded. Now, how do you know if I'm telling you the truth or not? Well, I'm going to take this little power controller. We sell these to people. They plug them in and they plug them into the wall and they plug the motor into this and it never, ever, ever runs hot again. It's a little concept I call fraudulus interruptus. Now I'm going to just do this for you real quick. We'll turn this on. Got a flag blowing. Certain amount of RPMs going on. And if you look at the meters, we got 110 volts, about 6 amps, 360 watts. You see that? So right now you're paying for 360 watts and you're getting this flag blown. They're putting more energy in than they need to do the job, so the motor will get hot. You know why? You know why the motor gets hot? Because it has excess power, energy that's not created or destroyed. It has to get rid of, and it can only do it through the second law of thermodynamics. Hot goes to cold. So that's why your motor gets hot. But see, if I take fraudulus interruptus and I plug this into the wall, it has a little computer inside. And then I plug your motor into the power controller. Little red light is on. Now, it'll let it have all the power at once. So the meter will go back to 6, back to 360, stay at 110. And then when that little light turns green, look and see what happens when the light turns green. Now, you won't be able to see that color on there, but see it yourself here live. When the light turns green, you're going to see it says, aha, you guys got more power than you need. And it starts shaving it down. The voltage will go down, the amperage will go down, and the watts will go down to what you really are using, and your motor will never get hot. Means your motor is going to last 3 times as long. Did you know that? Also means you don't have to pay for all that extra energy that you're not using. See, it goes back up to 6. It's still red. 360. Now just turn green. See what it's doing? The flag's still blowing exactly like it was, same RPM that you had before, same energy. But now instead of doing 6, you're doing about 4 amps. And instead of using 360 watts, you're using about 240 watts. Which one's more gooder, 240 or 360? And your motor will never, ever, ever get hot. See, that's how you know I'm lying. If your motor gets hot, then you can call me and you can tell everybody I'm a fraud, and you can get Attorney General to come down and harass me or do whatever you want to do, because I'll be lying to you. But see, it's real easy to see who the fraud is. Now, this right here is just an outright fraud from your electric utility company. These boys, every business person in America should be in open revolt. It's amazing we're so disorganized that we don't do anything like that, but we should be. Now, I'm going to take my little amp probe, turn him on so it can be, hey, Ricky? Okay, I'm good. I'm good. What are you going to do? You're going to take it all the way out here again? All right. Now, this right here is the power coming from the electric company into an AC motor. How many people know AC motors have to resonate? They have to go from the power source to the motor, back to the power source. Power's flowing in both directions, back and forth. Now, when the motor resonates with something, if the thing it's resonating is the same frequency of the motor, then you'll get a perfect power factor and you'll have perfect performance. If what it's resonating with is out of sync, then you'll be lucky to get 50% efficiency out of a 90% efficient motor because your power factor is off. It's not resonating with the right thing. The electric company puts a transformer on a pole outside of your building. All the motors in your factory are resonating with a transformer on a pole outside. And guess what? These are never in sync with any motor. Do you know why General Electric serves on the board of directors of every electric utility company in the United States? Make doggone sure these are never in sync with any motor. Do you understand the concept? Now, we can build a transformer like this one. It's called a tank circuit. Put it right up next to your motor and let your motor resonate with the transformer. They'll be the same frequency, and boy, do you want to see the difference in power for you. Now I'm going to go ahead and turn this on. The motor is running, the generator is lighting the lights. That's the load. I could take my watt meter, zero it out, and put it on this. This is the power coming from the electric company right now. This motor is resonating with a transformer somewhere outside right now. And we look and we see how many amps we're using. Do you have a good shot of that? 18 amps? Everybody sees that we're using 18 amps? Okay, now we're going to go ahead and shut it down, and Ricky's going to hook it up to our circuit. Now, I couldn't have done this with this building because, I've got different situations everywhere I go. Now it's only going over 10 inches of line resonating with a tank circuit. That's the right frequency. Now we're going to turn it on. It's going to do the same work. This will run that, light the lights. Doing the same job. But now we're going to take a look and we're going to measure how many amps it's taking to do the job now that we're no longer resonating with their transformer. You see that? Well, we got 6.8. Remember, we had 18.1. Now we got 6.8. Which one's more gooder? Which one would you rather pay for if you had an electric, if you had a big factory and you had all these big motors in it? Let me tell you something, folks. The electric utility company is going to tell you what size light bulbs to put in your factory, but they're not going to tell you anything about this because they're not making much money on the light bulbs. Let me tell you something. They're making millions of dollars with factories across America with this little con game right here. Well, like I said, tonight I'm here to tell you, to expose the con and tell you what's going on. Don't have a lot of time for questions. I'll try to take one quickie. Go. This is not for your home, but this is for your factory. For your factory, I have to build one for each motor. For your home, just use that fraudulus interruptus. No problem.
But do you need one on every motor?
Need one on every motor. Yes, this is per motor. But if you look at the cost for those, now let me tell you about money. If you get somebody to modify their car for $1,500, what's your commission? Everybody remember? 15%. What's 15% of $1,500? So you can go out here and you can make yourself a couple of $100 on every friend and everybody that you know. And I'm going to be the one collecting the money. I'm going to be the one modifying the cars. All you got to do is just bring them to me. Pretty easy job, right? Now, same thing with this. How many electric motors are there in the world? Every one of them, this is going on. You got any market there? All your 7-Elevens got 4 of them, Bowling alleys. Anybody have a bowling alley anywhere near you live? Where you live? They got 60 electric motors with 40 lanes, 40 pin setters, 20 ball returns. By the way, that'd be a $7,200 job. What's 15% of it? Pretty good chunk of change. Next time you go bowling, you might just pick up some money.
So would that be your industrial one?
That'd be industrial, yes. These are industrial products now. Here's another one, and then I'm going to show you something really interesting. This is a jackhammer. We have a jackhammer. Anybody here ever use a jackhammer? You got any teeth left? Shake your teeth right out of your head, won't it? This is a jackhammer. It's our 80-pound jackhammer. Don't ask me how much it weighs. People say, do you have water all the way around your island? Let me tell you something, guys. It weighs 80 pounds, just for those who are wondering. It weighs 80 pounds. Now, this one right here is just like the Ingersoll Rand, except for one difference. It doesn't make noise. A noiseless jackhammer. You don't need to wear the earplugs. It goes ping, 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 ping. And it does not vibrate. No vibration. You can go to our website and you can see an 80-pound lady using one of these jackhammers, busting up concrete with a quarter sitting on top of it, and the quarter sits there while it's busting up concrete. The quarter doesn't even fall off. You can go bowling with the boys at the end of the day with this one. Now, you could sell it. It's $4,000 less than our competitor for the hammer and the compressor, so you can make money selling it. But you could also lease the whole thing for $150 a month and just rent the dumb thing for $100 a day and make yourself a profit of $2,000 a month with one hammer. Want to make $4,000 a month? Get two. Okay, so there's a lot of opportunity here. Now, this right here is an egg. This egg has been dipped in paint. It's dipped once in the paint, dried, and then dipped again in the paint and dried. The paint that we're using is a paint that we sell. You can sell this paint or buy this paint yourself. If you take this paint, it comes white. You can take it down to Sherwin-Williams, Home Depot. They'll make it any color you want it. So you can have it colored. But if you paint your ceiling with it and you paint your wall with it, you don't need any insulation in your attic at all. Remember the government? Throw a little more insulation in your attic? You don't need any insulation in your attic. You don't need any insulation in your walls at all, because if you paint the wall with this, it will block the transfer of the heat with just a layer of two coats of paint. And the heat will not transfer.
Will it work on a basement wall?
Basement wall, any wall. Now, so I'm going to just take this. I'm going to give it to Ricky, and he's not going to start yet, but I want to set this up. How many people know that when the astronauts come back from space, they come re-entry into the Earth, and the bottom of their shuttle is 2,000 degrees for 3 minutes? It is. Now we're going to take this torch. Let me just show you. This torch is going to be 2,000 degrees, and we're going to leave the torch at 2,000 degrees on that egg for a 3-minute period of time. So you might say this egg is coming back from deep space. We're going to see if it can block the transfer of heat through the egg when that flame is on the egg. We'll just see if it can block the transfer of heat. Go ahead, Ricky. Now you guys can time him, keep him honest if you want to. In the meantime, I'm just going to show you this guy. Now, this right here is a piece of metal. It's a continuous strip of metal. I have the paint between the top and the bottom. Don't want to get anything on the carpet here. Now I'm going to go ahead and make this top pretty hot. Isn't it funny? I'm holding the bottom. So the top is glowing hot. The bottom is not warm at all. Don't feel the top. It will not allow the heat to transfer through the edge, through the metal itself, back to my hand. It won't allow the transfer. You're going to have to get me a new one of these, Ricky, for future reference. I'll try to avoid burning my hand here tonight. Now, this is a piece of terry cloth. Feel that, just like a washcloth or a towel. Just terry cloth. Like a washcloth or a towel. And we have treated it with a thing called fire barrier. So we have put fire barrier on this, and it's invisible. You can spray any surface with it. Now, this is my hand. This is that little rag that's treated. This is 2,000 degree torch. You got to give me another one too, because it doesn't burn. But you got a hole in that one right there, and I'm trying to avoid putting that on my hand there. I got awful close there for a minute. So you get the point. Now, you could spray that Christmas tree with that, and Mom, you don't have to worry about that Christmas tree catching on fire. You can wash the kids' bedding in it. You can spray the couch that Uncle Ned falls asleep on smoking with a cigarette and not have to worry about Ned burning the house down. Anything you spray with this, it will not catch fire unless it gets 3,600 degrees Fahrenheit. Has anybody heard about the brush fires in America, in Colorado and all over the place? So if you get brush fires, and you may get them here too, I don't know. But if you get brush fires, the fire is coming for your house. Isn't that stupid? A person could buy this fire barrier, fill it up in one of these little sprayers right here. Pick that up at Home Depot for $60. Fill it with the product. And then when you hear that the fire is coming, just go out and spray the side of your house, spray the roof of your house, spray the picket fence, spray the lawn. Whatever you don't want to catch on fire, spray it with this. And the fire will come to your house, go around your house, and go burn your neighbor's house down. I mean, it is so stupid that anybody's house is burning down while this product exists. But believe it or not, it is. Well, it's pretty dumb. People are buying insulation when you don't even need insulation. All you need to do is paint your wall, and you need to paint your wall and ceiling anyway. So why would you be buying any insulation? Remember the phrase, we don't know what we don't know, and we don't know that we don't know it? That's the reason why we're doing all of this. And is the media telling us? No, they're too busy selling us the junk. Remember, those are advertisers. Their money spends pretty good. Now we got the egg. The egg has just come back from deep space. I'm holding it in my hand here, 2,000 degrees on one side for 3 minutes. I'm going to cut this egg open. And you're going to see that the egg is not even cooked. Ricky, can you run it down through the middle there? Give him a good shot on the camera there too. The egg is not even cooked. Up a little closer to the camera there. Let him get a good down shot of it. That's one way. Does it block the transfer of heat, folks? Then why are you using insulation? Costs twice as much as regular house paint, and you can be selling it to everybody that you know and making a profit. Go out and paint that metal building with this, man. Let me tell you something. That's great. Now, I want to get into another technology. Unfortunately, on this tour, we had problems with 220 electric, and so I couldn't bring the actual unit with me, but you can go and see it. This right here is a water gas machine, an R-gas machine. We've got a machine. What you do is you pour water in the machine. Does anybody here do any cutting, welding, or brazing? Anybody? Well, you're probably using acetylene. And if you're using acetylene to cut, weld, or braze, then did you know that you could be using a machine, pouring water from your water hose in it, and using that to do the same cuts that you're making right now with acetylene? Or do the same brazing, actually better brazing than you're doing right now with your bottle gas? This right here is a piece of metal. Somebody here that cuts metal can confirm this for me. This is a piece of metal, and this is the piece we just cut off of it using that machine. Now, when we used it, when we got done making the cut, that's what it looks like. Does anybody know that there's supposed to be slobbers on this? We're supposed to have slag. Then you're supposed to have to take out your little grinder and grind it all off and prep it. Well, this is the piece that came off of it. That's the way it came off. There's no slag at all. You can cut it thin as cheese, by the way. There's no slag here. There's no slag here. Would that save you a little bit of time if you were a cutter? And by the way, which is cheaper, do you think? Water or acetylene? Which one do you think is cheaper? And I don't care if you're using MAP gas, LPG, what kind of gas you're using, because this will compete with all of them. But also, you pick up your torch and you cut this. And when you cut this, there's no preheat at all. You don't have to be preheating that metal. Just pick it up and cut it. If it's rusty and it's in the dirt and there's dirt and rust all over it, you don't need to get the dirt off or grind all the rust off of it to cut it. Just cut it. No preheat, no prep. Just cut it. And it'll look just like this when you get done with it. Would that revolutionize the cutting industry? Well, now brazing, anybody here can tell us, how long does it take to learn how to braise good? Take a little while? Do you just pick up a torch and start braising real good right from the get-go? Well, if you pick this up, you can braise immediately. Here's a piece of copper that was brazed by a pastor who never brazed before in his entire life. He was braising this good in less than an hour. Just pick it up and braise it. So you take your brazing rod and you just put it on it, and you don't worry about heat, because the flame with our gas, with water, is whatever the melting point of the material it touches is. It automatically changes its temperature to the temperature of the stuff you touch. So I could take a flame and put my hand through it, put my shirt through it, and then put a piece of steel up to it, and it'll be 2,000 degrees instantaneously. My hand just went through it. And I also can take a piece of fire brick up here. I can put it to it, and guess what it'll do? It'll burn a hole in the fire brick. How many people here know it's impossible to burn a hole in a brick? You can't do it, because it'll blow the brick up. You see that hole all the way through there? See my eyeball there? See my eyeball? That hole is burned all the way through using this flame. Why? Because it is so concentrated, it burns right through. Now, of course, you can just take your welding rod and you can just go ahead and weld it to a brick. You guys have probably seen this before, right? A welding rod welded to a brick. You've probably seen that. You might have some rocks on your property and you want to get rid of them. So you just take that unit and just burn right into that, because there is no material on the planet that this will not burn. It'll melt everything on the planet, diamond, anything. So it automatically, I can put my hand through it and then it can start melting this rock. But you see that hole in that rock there? Now all you do is you burn a hole in a rock, any rock, you walk up there with a glass of water and you throw the water on it. It'll shock it, it'll crack it in half, and then you just go ahead and pick up the pieces. One last thing, by the way, I want to tell you about this, and that is that, and by the way, when you're brazing, there's no buckling at all. But one last thing I want to tell you about this is that we take a piece of copper, regular copper, and hold it in my hand, and while I'm holding it in my hand, I cut it. Can anybody here hold copper while they're holding it in their bare hand? I don't even have abaderm on my hand. Just cut it, cut it, cut it, cut it, cut it, cut it, make a pattern on it, cut it all. And then when I'm done, the second the flame comes off of it, I drop it real fast. You know why? As long as the flame is on it, it won't transfer the heat. So as long as the flame's on it. I can hold a piece of tungsten. Anybody here know what the sublimation point of tungsten is? Turns it from a mass into a gas. That's sublimation. I put the flame on it and it sublimates immediately at the temperature of the surface of the sun. So this will go from, I put my hand through the flame, then I put tungsten up to it, and it will be the temperature of the sun immediately. My hand was just through the flame. Then when I pull the tungsten away, I put my hand through the flame, no problem. Because it will be the temperature of whatever material it touches. It'll be that melting point. And by the way, I hold the other end of that stick a few inches away from that with my bare fingers. So I'm holding tungsten by my fingers. Now that's impossible because with any other thing, but this is an atomic reaction. By the way, I don't have time to tell you about it, but we can take this and we can neutralize all atomic material. So your government does not have to be burying their atomic material in Yucca Mountain to make it safe. We can just neutralize it. You can make swing sets out of it for your children. We offered the federal government that for 1 penny on the dollar they're spending to bury it, we would neutralize it all, and they don't want to talk to us. You know why? Why do you think they made nuclear power plants in the first place? For one reason, it sure wasn't economics. That's the stupidest business decision you can make. It was to get the radioactive material so they could build bombs with it. So let me tell you, your life right now is at risk because a spontaneous reaction could kill us all in one of about 500 different locations of the country. It is important to get it in the ground, believe me it is, or neutralize it. They don't want to neutralize it because then they can't use it to kill folks with it. So just want to tell you the truth. No one else is going to, so I might as well just go ahead and tell you the truth about that. And you notice that whenever Korea started doing that, they'd come down on them like, you don't want nuclear power plants, you want radioactive material. I've been saying that for 20 years. It's nice that finally they're saying it themselves. Now, does anybody here do laundry? I hope somebody does here because, this is tight quarters. Now, you're probably thinking that you need to have laundry detergent to wash clothes. America is addicted to white powder, and I'm not talking about cocaine. I'm talking about T-I-D-E, Tide. You're addicted to it because you believe that Tide washes clothes. And by the way, Tide does wash clothes, but that's not the only thing. Water is the universal solvent. Water washes clothes. Tide doesn't wash clothes. What Tide does, it is not soaping. What it is doing is you put Tide in there with your water, and the agitator causes it to set up an ionic field, and it ionizes the water. When you ionize water, you make the molecules skinnier. They penetrate the clothes better. This right here is 2 magnets. So you can throw your Tide away. You can throw your laundry detergent away and never buy it again as long as you live. Take 2 magnets, put them in your washer, and you don't need any of that junk anymore. Now, these magnets have been coated in plastic so they don't make noise in your washer, but also they won't rust in your washer because you don't want them to rust in there. And there's your magnets. Now, how many people know magnets set up an ionic field and do exactly the same thing Tide does? See? But how long does a magnet stay magnetized? Permanently. A permanent magnet stays magnetized permanently. So for the rest of your life, just put these in there, wash your clothes, never buy detergent again. Does that save you a little bit of money? And if we sell this to somebody for $100, would you not then be able to not only turn your friend on, do a wonderful thing for your people, but make a few bucks in the process of doing it? Well, later on tonight, I'm going to show you how every time you sell a product for $100, I'm going to pay you a $10,000 commission. Get anybody's attention there? Later on tonight, I'm going to show you exactly how we do that. It's going to be worth staying for. Anybody here like to retire this year? Anybody? Just this year or next year, one or the other. Never, ever work again the rest of your life and make more money than you're making now, unless, of course, you're making more than $100,000 a year.
You work harder after you retire than you did before. You realize that?
Yeah, but you have more fun. All right, now, so this will eliminate the need to ever buy laundry detergent again. We also have this little guy right here, a stain remover, because how many people know that Tide doesn't get stains out? You got to have a spot remover. So we have one that is environmentally friendly. The stuff you're using has phosphates. It destroys the environment. This stuff right here has citrus and also has enzymes. And it not only eats all the oil and stuff off your clothes, but when it goes down the drain, it does that for the environment. We're actually cleaning the environment up when you use this. 1 penny a wash. No more ring around the collar. No more dirty stains. They're gone. You will write me letters when you use this. I know that. I get more letters because of this than anything else. You'll write me letters going, that stuff's fantastic. Now, let's keep going. I want to show you some products. I got 24 products to show you. I want to do them quick. This right here is a fire extinguisher. It's got powder, so it's just powder. By the way, this costs $15. How many people here know you can't put out a tire fire? Anybody know that? You get a tire on fire, you can't put it out? A couple of guys. You can't. Go home and get a tire, an old tire, and set it on fire. Make sure you buy one of these first. Because try to put it out with everything else you got. Then walk over here with this, pop the top and just go poof with this powder on that fire and watch it go immediately right out. And by the way, if you get an engine fire, your engine catches on fire, walk over here and do the same thing. Poof, it's right out. And it will be out immediately. Puts out all Class A, B, and C fires. Cheapest and best fire extinguisher in the world. Now this guy right here can keep you alive. How many people know that 80% of all house fires start at the stove? The stove is the most dangerous thing in your house. Take the stove out of your house, don't ever use it again, eat out instead, and you got 80% less chance of ever getting a fire. But I can make your stove completely safe. That would make your house 80% less likely to ever catch on fire. This right here is a magnet. You set this little thing right up underneath your stove hood, and then you got that powder, and the powder is siliconated. It never, ever, ever gets sticky or never cakes up. And you got an air pocket in here. When the fire comes up, anybody ever leave a turkey in the oven or get a grease fire? Anybody have that experience? It's quite an experience, isn't it? Oh my God! And you're running home, hoping the house is still there. Well, this guy right here, you're not in there. Fire laps up, causes the air to expand, right? What happens to air when it gets hot? Expands, pops the top, puts the fire out. You're not even at home. Wouldn't you think, costs $120 for a stove, wouldn't you think that the fire insurance people would buy these for everybody that's insured with them? Well, if they did, they would have 80% less house fires and sell 80% less fire insurance. You understand how that works? See, I don't know about you, but I think that's wicked. I'm really glad that I'm a Christian and God said in the Bible that the wealth of the wicked is laid up for the righteous. I intend to go get it. Now, we got another product called Sunny Grow. Anybody here do any farming? Anybody here know anybody that does any farming? Because this right here can get you a bunch of money real quick. Now, we have a product that is called Sonic Bloom and another one that's called Sunny Grow. And what it does is it plays music to the limbs and stems of the plants. What plants? Any plants. And when it does that, they become open and porous to receive the nutrients, and we have organic nutrients, heavily seaweed and fish oils. We put directly into that, and it causes things to grow like nothing. How about 500 tomatoes on one tomato plant? How about cornfields 17 feet tall? Has anyone here ever seen a 17-foot tall cornfield? Good. If you know about this product right here, here's a farmer standing in a field on a ladder right here on a 17-foot tall cornfield, standing on a ladder. And how many ears of corn do you normally get on a stalk? These have got 10. 10 ears of corn on a stalk. 2 crops a year instead of 1 because you get early maturity. This is a pumpkin the size of a man. Now, you're going to have a hard time believing me if you're a farmer. So what you're going to have to do is you're going to have as much sense as the drug dealers have. And by the way, I don't much respect them, but they got some pretty strong marketing. and they give somebody a taste and then get somebody hooked. One of my dealers did that, not with that particular product, but with this one. And he gave a farmer $250 worth of material for him to just grow 1 acre with it while he grew his 1,000 acres without it. It was an apple orchard. The farmer put it on baby trees that were 2 years old, and then their second year they had a crop. Normally it takes 5 years. Farmer's eyes were like this, and he bought it for his 1,000 acres. How much would that be? $250 an acre for 1,000 acres. Would that be a $250,000 sale? What's your commission on that? 15%? Would that be $37,500 worth of commission for doing that? And if he did it 1 year, why wouldn't he do it every year? How'd you like to make $37,500 a year on one farmer? Or maybe for yourself, because the guy who bought it, why did he pay $250,000? Because it increased his yield $5 million a year. Now, I'm going to show you the biggest ear of corn you've ever seen in your entire life. Get prepared for this. I'm going to show you the biggest watermelon. There's never been a crop failure. There's never been a time that it didn't work on any crop. There you go. The biggest ear of corn you've ever seen. The biggest watermelon you've ever seen. I'm just kidding. I'm just joking. All right. It's not quite that good, but it's pretty good. This right here is a cabbage. That's the actual size of that cabbage. Actual size. It was being eaten for 6 months with no preservatives. You don't need preservatives. You don't need pesticides for healthy plants. When you use our product, you never, ever, ever use pesticide. Don't need it. Now, also, by the way, remember I said you give a farmer a taste because he won't believe it. You won't believe it. It's too good to be true. So you got to give him a little bit, let him go ahead and grow something. Now here's a cocoa farmer. And here's the cocos. Now the farmer on this part of his field didn't use our product. On this part of his field he did. Now this one here's got about 7 cocos. This one's got about 70 cocos. Which one do you think he was happier about? That's with it at the bottom and without it at the top. Same crop, same year, same farm, same farmer. You see why the farmer wants to buy this stuff now? The only problem we get with farmers is we can't get any references. Why? Because they don't want everybody else that they're in competition with to know that this happens. So they ain't telling nobody about this stuff. But you can get a videotape called Farmers Speak Out. And there are some farmers out there that have talked about it generically. And I mean, if you grow soybeans, you can't believe what this does with soybeans. You can't believe it. Now, let's talk about pesticides for a minute. Because they're a fact of life. We got bugs we don't want, right? We got bug infestations at home and everywhere else. Here's some dead bugs. I'm not going to kill any more bugs for you, but that all you do is just spray this little powder on them and they turn upside down and they stop running around. Just poof a little bit of this on them. Work on. I'm not allowed by law to tell you that this will kill all bugs. So I can't tell you that, but if I was allowed by law, I would tell you this will kill all bugs. If I was allowed by law to do it. But I can't. I can tell you I've never heard of a bug it didn't kill. And I'm talking about boll weevils and I'm talking about crop infestations. As a matter of fact, you can take 30 pounds of this and put it in a barn silo and you can hold corn in there for 2,000 years with no infestation. 2,000 years, no bug infestation. So you can eliminate that. Now, you can use it for your household or you can use it for your farm. And what you do is you just spray a little bit of it in here. I want to show you how water soluble this is. Just spray some in there. And like, you see how it mixes up and it's water soluble? Now you can take that and you can put it in a sprayer. And if you got bees or anything flying around, just spray them right out of the air. So you can just spray the bees right out of the air with it. Or you can just drink it. Ah, delicious. It kills the bugs, but it don't kill the people. I'm pretty much bug free. Except I probably got a bug in my van. I don't think it's the same kind of bug we're talking about, though. I know I have some bugs in my office. Anyway, yes, you can drink it. If you drink a glass of this a day, it'll take the toxins out of your body. So it's actually good for human beings. And now, could you tell me why you have black flag under your kitchen sink? Could you tell me why you ever call the Orkin man to come to your house? Because there's no good reason. You are killing your family. You're destroying their respiratory system and their immune system. Don't do that. Please don't do that. You can just put it right up on your food preparation area in your cabinet. The ants come in. It kills the ants if you got ant infestations. And no problem. If you happen to get some in the food, you'll just make your family healthier. If you got lice or fleas or ticks, just put them right on your animals, rub it right in, put a little bit in their food, and it'll get rid of the parasites as well in your animals. Okay? It'll worm them. That's exactly right. These are little bugs that eat oil. Like I said, you can learn a lot more about all the products. But you take this, put this little bag in here, mix it up like this, take it out on your shop floor. And if you've got a floor that's got grease and oil in it and you're slipping and sliding, just throw it down on the floor everywhere. And just take water and put water down with it. Take a buffer and buff it one time. And then you can sit down and read a good book while these little bugs are eating all the oil off of your floor. They'll eat all the oil off your floor, and at the end of that, they'll eat into 3 inches into the concrete. They'll eat all the oil. You can eat your dinner off that floor when you get done with it. No work. You don't have to work to do it. Let the bugs do the work. By the way, at the end of this, they become like cannibals because they become solid oil. Then they eat each other. And at the end, you got one great big bug. You just have to kind of like wrestle him down. No, the way you get rid of it, they turn all the oil into carbon dioxide and send it right back out for your plants to breathe. And at the end of this, you just flush them right down the drain. Isn't that a terrible thing to do to the environment? You're sending something down there that eats oil and it cleans up the environment. By the way, pop one of these in a grease trap, or you can automatically dispense it as liquid into a grease trap. Anybody got any restaurants anywhere where they live? By the way, if you drive past a Kentucky Fried Chicken, if you just drive past it, you notice how you start slipping in your seat? All the grease. Actually, any restaurant, put it right into there, and it eats all the grease out of the restaurant, and they don't have to have somebody come and suck it out at $200 a month. Believe me, you can make a lot of money with all those products. Also, if you got a septic tank, you put one of these in your septic tank, and don't worry about it. Or just take this, cut it, flush it down your toilet, and it's in your septic tank. It'll keep your septic tank clean. You have to do one of these a quarter. So 4 times a year. That's it. Hydro weed. Just going to talk about it. You take this and put it on any oil spill. I've got a man who just joined us. How much does it cost you to become a distributor for me? Nothing. You don't have to pay me a dime to become a distributor for me. Imagine a business opportunity that you don't have to pay anything to have. You have to pay $60 for a training program to learn all about the products. And if you want, you can buy some products to go out and demonstrate to people. Now, this right here is hydro weed. One of the guys who just came in, actually is making a $250,000 sale for this stuff right here now. So it's a small product. You can put it in a shop and it gets rid of any oil spills. This guy knew a guy from an electric utility company. They got high tension transformers on the lines and they leak oil. If you take one bag of hydroweed and just put it around the post, that's it. All the oil will leak down into the hydroweed. It will encapsulate it. It will hold it, and the bugs that eat oil eventually will take care of it. You don't even need to come and clean it up. It doesn't hit the soil now or ever. And it's completely taken care of by nature. That's a $250,000 purchase in his first sale of that product for electric utility companies for the transformers on their high-tension power lines. Now, of course, you can sell it at shops if you got shops because they're using clay. 700 pounds of clay versus a little 17-gallon bag of this that weighs about like a bag of dog food. And this will take care of that the same way that will. By the way, the Exxon Valdez, if they would have used this, they wouldn't have destroyed anything at all in the environment. Why didn't they use it? Because it encapsulates the oil. It is not water absorbable. It just absorbs the oil. And once it absorbs the oil, you can never get the oil back out of it again. They were trying to recover as much of the oil as they possibly could before they took care of the environment. That's why they didn't use this. If they would have, there would have been no oil in the environment. It all would have been encapsulated. Nothing would have died. No damage to the environment. By the way, I proved that to the Eskimos, and they sued Exxon, got the biggest settlement that's ever happened in Exxon's history. I'm sort of proud of that. Yeah, thanks. Now, do you guys have fire ants down here? Kansas? No fire ants? Does anybody know anybody from Texas that does? Or Arizona, any of those places? You take a bottle of this, it's called X-Ant. One bottle of this. Put it in a bucket of water, walk over to a fire ant hill, pour it on it, and not only are the fire ants all going to die, it also kills the magnetic typing that causes them to go set up housekeeping there, and they will never, ever, ever come back to that location. That's it. Fire ants are gone forever. Let me tell you something. You put about a 55-gallon drum of that in the back end of a trailer and head to Texas, and you're on your way to becoming a very, very wealthy person. Because whole acres, whole miles are taken over by fire ants, and they've lost the use of the ground altogether. California estimates it's got a multi-billion-dollar fire ant problem. Take off. You can solve it. Now, this right here is dirt. You guys got dirt? This is dirt. That's a plug of dirt. What have I done to turn that plug of dirt into concrete, hard substance? I merely sprayed it with a polymer. I spray it with a polymer, it becomes like concrete. Now that's kind of interesting because you might have a driveway that looks like this. If you got a driveway, a dirt driveway that looks like this, all you got to do is just spray it with this polymer. And it'll become concrete hard. Then go down to Home Depot and buy some waterproof paint and make your driveway look just like everybody else's driveway. By the way, $100, $200 should take care of most driveways. A couple $100 and now you have no more mud, no more ruts, no more dust. You can spray whole miles of dust. How many people know mining operations have to do that? And they can spray it one time and they can send all those trucks that keep going out all day long putting water down. They can eliminate that. That's a plug, just like the little plug I just showed you. You see that plug? That's been sitting in this water for 8 years. 8 years underwater. Still a plug, not been destroyed at all. What I'm saying is you can go and dig a hole anywhere and then spray that with this polymer. And now you got yourself a pond. It pulls all those, it goes into the dust, pulls it tight, and forms a lattice and makes it concrete hard instantaneously, well, it cures over time, but right away you can walk on it. And then you just paint it blue or not, but you can have a fish pond. You can have any pond you want, anywhere you want it.
Dry?
Or you just dig, could be dry.
To spray it?
No, it doesn't have to be dry to spray it. We can spray, not right after a rain, but yeah. But it doesn't have to be powder dry or anything. And then what happens is, after you spray it, like regular loam will be fine. After you spray it, dig a hole in your backyard, any hole you want. Anybody here want an in-ground swimming pool? You dig it. Dig it any size you want, any way you want. And then we just come along and spray it, or you can spray it yourself. And then get some blue paint down at Home Depot, waterproof paint, paint it, and you'll have a swimming pool. In 10 years, it might crack. And when it does crack, how many people know you can't patch concrete? But the fact of the matter is, you can. Because if it does crack, this is a block. By the way, we have a block maker, so you can make your own blocks. And this right here cracked. So we just went out and got some dirt, mixed it with the polymer, and it's all patched, good as new, no problem. That's the reason why I brought it, was I just wanted you to see you can patch that. So if you do get a crack, you take all the water out of it, patch it all up, trowel it smooth, and cure it and throw the water back in. No problem, good for another 10 years. Yeah, anything causes it, ground freezing will not do that. It's a polymer and it will expand. You can even use it for flat roofs, for roofing. So if you want to do this for roofing, how'd you like to have a flat roof for less than $1 a square foot? You can sell that, by the way. What would you get? 15 cents, or 15 cents a square foot, 15%. You want to sell that for me? No problem. Now, you can also make bricks. You can make bricks. Now, you can do that two ways. We have a brick making machine. It's manual. It's called the brick factory. You pull it down and it pumps out 2 bricks a minute. All you need to make these bricks is dirt. You might say these bricks are dirt cheap. They cost nothing to make. Nothing. Now they're not as hard because they're dirt as regular bricks would be. So if you want to, you can make the bricks by putting a little bit of the polymer in, and then the bricks will be at least as hard, if not harder, than any brick you can pick up anywhere. You can have these bricks for free, or put a little polymer into them, and it costs you about 2 cents a brick. 2 cents a brick, that pretty competitive? You can make bricks or you can make blocks. Got a handyman here? Like to build a nice cheap building out there where you're at? Want to make a nice retaining wall? You want to stop a flood area? If you put the polymer in, it costs 10 cents a block. If you just make them regular, they're free. Just dirt. You can sell the machine that makes those bricks. You know how much it costs? $2,500. 2 bricks a minute, or 2 blocks a minute. $2,500. Anybody here think you could sell that? Anybody here think there's anything we've talked about so far you could sell? How about tiles? It also makes 2 tiles a minute, floor tiles. Same machine. 2 tiles a minute.
Same dirt?
Same dirt. Well, you wouldn't, only if you unconstitute the block and then put it back in, the same dirt. But it is dirt from the same place. Yes. Pardon? All your soil around here is okay. If you had sand, you'd have to have maybe put a little clay in with it. If it's all clay, you'd have to put a little sand in with it. But if you send us a soil sample, we'll tell you if your soil's okay. But all the soil around here is okay. If you get down to Albuquerque, you got a problem. Down around Arizona, you got a problem. You might need some clay or you might need some sand. Got a product here called Miracle Shield. Do you see all the products we got? We wanted to design our product line so no matter where you went, you would always run into a customer. Have we done that? I mean, you'll get homeowners, you'll get farmers, you got industry, you got everything. This is Miracle Shield. Miracle Shield, whatever you spray this on, it can be metal, it can be plastic. You don't have to paint it anymore. So if you got a building and you spray this on it, you don't have to paint it anymore. You painted it once. And if you got a bridge, you paint the bridge one time, spray this on it, you don't have to paint it anymore. By the way, whatever surface you spray this on, you can't get any graffiti. So you eliminate graffiti. Anybody want to eliminate graffiti? How much money could you make on a tour of America selling that to gas stations? Because all they do is just spray it on the stalls and no one can write graffiti. And if they can get graffiti on it, you take soap and water and just wash it right down. No problem. Brick. It has a whole line of different things that you can do with it. Even wood. Now, this right here, and by the way, you can just take your tire, spray it one time, and then you go through mud puddles and you'll never have mud on your tires. It just rolls off. So your tires always look good. Pardon?
Mud on a shovel.
Yeah, on a shovel. Yeah, you can spray a shovel and you won't have the mud on it, yeah.
It's not going to stick, Clay. It's not going to stick to the shovel.
Well, try it. I don't know that one. But I know that you won't have it for a while. I don't know if it'll last forever because you're going to get friction and I don't know. But I would imagine it's going to last a long time. Now, by the way, this is a thing called the Bandit. I don't have time to demonstrate it for you, and if I did demonstrate it for you, it'd be the last thing I could demonstrate. This right here will stop anyone from stealing anything from you, and it will stop you from getting raped in your own home. It's very important because the Bandit looks like a little speaker, right? Now, I can put this in a liquor store, and somebody comes in and they say, your money or your life. And you say, just a minute, I think I can figure this one out. And you act like you're going to go down and give them the money, and you hit a panic button and you just drop to the floor. Just hit the floor, no problem. Because the second that that panic button is engaged, out of this little hole right here comes fog. And it would fill this whole entire room in 3 seconds. 1001, 1002, 1003. No one in here could see their hand in their face, including the guys in the back. Couldn't even see your hand in front of your face. Could you rape somebody if you couldn't even find them? Could you shoot somebody if you couldn't even find them? And by the way, the only thing you want to do is get out of that building. And if you break all the windows in the building, it will continue to put it out for 20 minutes. And you won't get rid of it no matter what you do. It's just the building will look like it's on fire and everybody will come out there and get the fire department there. Anyway, it can keep your priceless materials safe. It can keep your life safe. That's something you definitely can sell. Goes with any alarm system that they've got. Now, I want to show you also another product here. Oh, $1,000. $1,000 is your life and your stuff worth it. By the way, in a jewelry store, people pop that alarm and they don't care because they know the cops won't get there for 10 to 20 minutes anyway. So they come in with sledgehammers and they break all the cases, put everything into bags, and they're out there. They'll sort it out later. They're out of there in 3 minutes. When the cops get there, they don't even know where they're at. But you break this, you can't see to get anything. Now, this, by the way, is a mosquito magnet. Anybody here afraid of the mosquitoes, West Nile virus and all that other stuff? They sell for $2,000, but we got another model that doesn't look as pretty as this one, and it's only $500. You put a bottle of propane on this one or that one every month, 1 bottle of propane a month, and you have no mosquitoes on your property, a whole acre, no mosquitoes there at all. That's it, they're gone. So it will eliminate all the mosquitoes on an acre of ground for $500. That's it.
How about flies?
Biting flies, anything that bites, it takes care of it, but other things, no. Just things like no-see-ums, mosquitoes, biting flies, yes. Now, by the way, this is not out yet, this product here, but it's one we're coming up with. Shortly after I get done with this tour, we'll have this on the market. If you notice right there, there's a hot and cold spigot. Do you see them? And so you can have hot water or cold water. But one of the things you notice about this is there's no bottle. How'd you like to have a water thing in your house that takes all the water out of the air and then, like a humidifier, runs it through an ultraviolet light and kills all the bacteria, and then runs it through the filtering system, the rocks, and makes it taste good? So you have water just like the water you get at Home Depot or anywhere else, the Culligan man, except that you never, ever, ever have to change a water bottle. All you do is plug it into the wall. That's it. Plug it into the wall cord. Now, by the way, that'll sell for about $1,000, and it makes 10 gallons of fresh water a day. So 10 gallons a day, you don't even have to ever buy it. And it makes it for about 10 cents a gallon. Go buy that at Home Depot. The 5-gallon jug is $6, $1.20 a gallon versus 10 cents a gallon, and you don't have to use the jug. Anybody think they could sell these? Probably somebody want to buy one of these. And all of these things as we go would be about $1,000. Imagine, though, 10 gallons a day at $1,000, and you're saving yourself over $1 a gallon. That's $10 a day savings. Pretty good for $1,000. Now, by the way, I want to show you one other product here. You guys know farmers. You grab that one, Ricky. Now, you guys know farmers, and there are some farmers in the room here. Now, this is coming soon. We're in the process. As a matter of fact, on this tour, I've already done the deal with the inventors of this, and we've got a prototype, but they want to get it completely done where it's automated before we can put it on the market. So that's the only thing we're waiting for right now. How many people know that the government is encouraging farmers to use ethanol? Anybody know that? And a lot of people are making ethanol with what? With corn, with soybeans. Well, we've got a technology to make ethanol out of blackstrap molasses. And we will make 1 gallon of 199 proof ethanol. 1 gallon of 199 proof, actually alcohol. It's a still, folks. Believe it or not, the government is encouraging people to get stills. It's amazing. But we will make 1 gallon of 199 proof alcohol for 37 cents a gallon with no residue, none. The only thing left over with the blackstrap molasses is water, and we use it on the next batch. And so this right here is our ethanol plant. I'm going to show it to you in a second. That's just our prototype. But a farmer can get a $12,000 tax credit for buying one of these. That means a farmer can just write $12,000 right off his taxes when he buys it. How much does it cost? It costs $15,000. So you might say Uncle Sam's picking up the tab for 12 and the farmer's only paying 3. And it will make 20,000 gallons of ethanol for 37 cents a gallon a year. Now, if you're avoiding fuel at a rate of $2 and something a gallon, You're saving $2 a gallon on all your fuel, and you're getting 20,000 gallons of fuel a year. That's $40,000 savings right there in a year. And you get paid $12,000 from the government, and you only lay $3,000 out of your pocket. Anybody think you could sell that to anybody? And what would your commission be? 15%. Anyway, this is just their little prototype. Like prototypes, it's not real fancy yet. But by the time we get done with the tour, this is something we're concentrating on to get out right away. You guys can make a lot of money with this. All right? Now, I'll just show you one other thing real quick, and then I want to get into something else that's very important to me and you. This is another product that we're coming up with soon. It's called Sober Up. Sober Up. You open this thing up, and you are drunk as a judge. See, I don't say that the other way around, because I know a lot of judges. You're drunk as a judge. And then you open this up, and you drink it down, and you're sober as a pastor ought to be. Because in 10 minutes, no matter how big your binge, you'll test fine on an alcohol test, and you're perfectly capable of driving your car. I knew I was going to sell somebody something today. Now,
you got to rename it Blow the Buzz.
Okay, we called it Sober Up. Now, let me talk about something very important. Let me talk about free electricity. We're not marketing the product yet. So when we are marketing the product, I'm just showing you a future coming attraction here. Now, free electricity. What we are doing is we have already got a technology. This right here, Ricky can move maybe a little bit. This right here is the Sundance generator. And it's hooked up to the Hummingbird motor. Now, like I said, tonight isn't to prove anything. You can get all the evidence of that and everything you need. Do you have the free look kit still out here? Or have you packed it? If you haven't, I need it. Okay, I don't see it. Okay, if you go out front and get it, I appreciate that. Now, we have a little kit. It is called the Free Look Kit. It's a little kit of information. It's called the Free Look Kit. How many people know that if it's a free look kit, that means you can look at it for free? Okay, what does it cost you to get this free look kit and look at it for a 2-week period of time? Do you ever have to buy it? No. Can you get this literature? Inside this free look kit is a book, a lot of DVDs, catalogs, expert testimony from experts of science. And if you get this kit, you will become convinced I can make free electricity. I don't care if you're technical. I hope you are. Because the stuff you need to know that is in this kit. So if you get this kit, you will become a believer. And all you do to get it is ask for it. Now, if you're a salesman for me, you decide you want to be a distributor, you could hand somebody a business card, or you could give somebody 2 weeks with this free look kit absolutely free. Which one do you think would be better? So they got everything. They got a case for free electricity. They can see the machines running. They can see the tests that we did. They can see the verification of the tests that we did. They got everything they need to not only know that we can make free electricity and that we're the real deal, but also all the products I just showed you are all in this free look kit. Way more explanation than I gave you tonight. There's 20 hours of DVD and video inside of this kit here. So if you get this kit to somebody, do you have to sell them the product, or am I going to? Right, they're going to see the demo. Do you have to convince them we can make free electricity, or will I do that? And so this is the easiest tool you could ever use to get somebody interested in this project. The one thing they have to do is secure the return of the material. They have to give me something to hold, a security deposit. Because I'm going to give them all this material, and I don't know them from Adam, and I want to make sure I'm going to get this back. Now, the security deposit is $100, but they put that on a credit card or give me a check, and I pledge to them in writing that I will not cash that check for the 2 weeks that they got it. At the end of the 2 weeks, if they will send me a postcard or an email telling me that I can pick it back up again, I will send a man with the postage to pick it up with an envelope that's paid for by me, and all they do is stick it in there and let the UPS guy take it away. How can I make it easier for people to know what we're talking about here? I guess I could go over to their house and do a seminar for them. Okay, so short of doing that, this is the way that we get this information out to people. Now, and by the way, if they put it on their credit card, there's no way we could hit their credit card. No way. Without getting our kit back. If they don't want to give it back, then we do hit their credit card. If they don't want to give it back, then we do cash their check. We don't even know if it's good until then, because we don't even hold it, and we don't cash the check and give them the money back. We give them back the same check uncashed. Now, so they've got all the information that they need to see more than you saw tonight so far, and to also know we can make free electricity. Now, the technology to make free electricity is a permanent magnet motor, and it works on this concept right here. It's not solar, it's not wind machines, it's not hydroelectric, it's magnetics. Does anybody here have magnets on your refrigerator? How they've been working, okay? When is the last time you changed the batteries on those magnets? Aren't they still working? See, this is a form of energy that they don't know how to tap into, but we do know how to tap into. And by the way, I'm sure they know how to tap into it too. They're too busy tapping into fossil fuels to bother with it. Does everybody understand why we're hooked to fossil fuels? Because big business is hooked to fossil fuels, and you're on the payout. They got you sitting on that stuff, buying all those fossil fuels, making people awful rich, and having your sons and daughters go get killed to defend the stuff. Now, I don't have time to prove to you that that works, but you can go get all the information and you can get yourself a snoot full of it. But I will show you one thing, and then I want to get on with this because I want to show you how to retire. I want to talk about how you can make yourself a bundle of money. This right here is a magnet. It's a bar magnet. How many people here know that a bar magnet, it has to be magnetic on all 6 sides? Has to be magnetic on all sides. So, and how many people here know that it is impossible to block a magnetic field? You can't. In physics, ask any physicist, can you block a magnetic field? Nothing will block a magnetic field. You can kind of shield it a little bit, but you cannot block it. It'll get through everything. Now, this right here is a bar magnet, has a top, a bottom, and 4 sides. This is a piece of metal. You see it's magnetic on the top. It's magnetic on the bottom. Magnetic on that side. Magnetic on that side. Magnetic on that side, leaving only one side, this weird side yet, to see if it's magnetic on. Now, the experts all agree that if Mr. Lee could block a magnetic field, he could build a permanent magnet motor and do the things he says he can do. But since it's physically impossible to block a magnetic field, I can't do that. If it was possible to block a magnetic field, all the experts agree that I guess he's not a phony, he really does have something. But since it's impossible to block a magnetic field, I can't do this. There you go, till you do that. Now, am I going to explain to you how I do that? No way. That's my little secret. But let's put it this way. I know how to do it. They don't know how to do it. It's amazing how many things I know how to do they don't know how to do. And I'm supposed to be a con man. Now, if you go out and you check me out, and you go on the internet and you check me upside down, inside out, you will find out I am the biggest con man there ever has been. I am Jesse James Modern Times. Now, the reason why is because there are some people in the fossil fuels business don't think these are good ideas at all. There's some very, very wealthy people in businesses that aren't happy with the fact that I can rearrange every known business in the world, in the United States today. There's nothing you're buying I can't give you a better one than that. Nothing. And so if you went and the big boys were saying I'm a wonderful guy, you'd have to know there's something wrong. If they're saying bad things about me, that's right. That's the way it should be. They sure aren't going to be endorsing me. So, I mean, please use a little bit of common sense in this, because the one that's going to get talked out of your opportunity will be you. So you got to be smart. When the big guys don't like me because I'm taking their business over, that's a good thing for you. Now, we have an opportunity for you. We want to bring free electricity to the world. But the problem with bringing free electricity out is not the technology. I know lots of ways to make free electricity. As a matter of fact, you'll know a lot of them when you watch that videotape. But you know what? The problem is you can't get past the dirty politics. Thank you. The one keeping you from the truth is the media. And people say, well, if that was true, by God, it'd be all over CBS and NBC and ABC. Yeah, welcome to my world. Let me tell you something. They got the best media money can buy. They also, big business, have got the best politicians money can buy. I don't care what you think of your governor. He is a politician and he is a liar. And he is not an honest man. I don't care any politician you want to claim. Somewhere along the line, he is making concessions, because that's what a politician does. And he's bought. Now, big business has plenty of money to buy them. And guess who owns all of the judges? The politicians do. The judges do what the politician tells them to do. Now, how can I get past the judges, the judicial system, the media that is owned by big business, and all the politicians, including your attorney general, that will bite me in a second if he thinks it's going to get him favor with a big business? How can I get past that and all the money of big business? There's only one way for me to succeed. One. And by the way, how many people know that if I succeed, you succeed? Because if I don't succeed, who else is going to come along and give you the opportunity to eliminate all this junk? When's the last time you had someone before me, and how long you think it'll take to get another one after me? You may or may not like me, but I'm the only Savior you got in this particular area. You got another Savior in all the rest of it. His name is the Lord Jesus Christ. Now, I am going to do something to get you to help me make this happen. What I'm going to do is the same thing the politicians do to get you to vote for them. What do the politicians do to get you to vote for them? They bribe you. I mean, hey, this is a capitalist society. And by the way, as much as they want to make socialists out of us, we're all capitalists at heart. Believe me, you're a capitalist. If you're here, you are a capitalist. And so what they do is they say, do a demographic. How many old people do we have in this area? How many farmers do we have? Wait a minute, we got more farmers than we have old people. Then they come out and go, vote for me. I'm going to rip all of that money out of those old folks' hands, and I'm going to make farm subsidies with it. And then you say, hey, I want him because he's going to make it better for me. And by the way, do they own all the money that the old people had? No. But if you put them in office, they got a right to take it. So you see, they're going to bribe you with something they don't even own. Because if you put them in office, they will have the ability to take it and give it to you. Now I'm going to do something just like that, except it's going to be a whole lot more honest. I want to get people into football stadiums. Because have you ever noticed what happens when all of a sudden the people get involved in something? All the politicians are real careful when enough people get involved in something. You notice that? The media is real careful how they handle something when a lot of the public is involved in it. And so Martin Luther King made a major headway in America over the fact of human beings and that all of us are human beings. And how did he do that? He captured the attention of people, and people who needed to come forward and were desperate enough to come. Now the problem in this country is most people don't know how bad they need me. Because most people don't know they don't have any rights right now. Most people don't know that they waived all of their rights with their stupid Social Security, and they actually right now are chattel against a national debt that's coming up to $8 trillion. And when it hits $8 trillion, you're done. You're cooked. You can pull your turkey out of the oven because all of you are security on that $8 trillion. But you see, it's dishonest, but it's legal. And the problem is, they can't tell you what's really going on in this country, and they're not being honest with you about it because you still are the most armed population in the world. There's an average of 3 guns for every American. Now, you don't tell a man who thinks he's free that's got 3 guns for that's got 3 guns for himself that he really isn't free unless you can get his arms first. So they're trying to disarm this country big time. And actually the people in this country, if they had any knowledge of what our forefathers did for us in the right to bear arms, they should have called it the responsibility to bear arms, not the right to bear them. Because if you understood that, you were supposed to be so well armed your government would be afraid of you. That's what it was about. It wasn't about shooting a stupid deer. Somebody says, you don't need an AK rifle to shoot a deer. Some people I know need an AK rifle to shoot a deer. But let me tell you something. If you studied the Constitution right, you should have an Honest John missile in your front lawn. You should have a whole box full of hand grenades. You should have some BARs, and you should have all kinds of arms. Because the government is supposed to be afraid of you. That's what makes the government honest. Anyway, that's a whole other lecture. But let me tell you something. I've got to try to get all the people in these football stadiums before they take our guns away from us. And if they get the guns before I get the witnesses, you can kiss me and it and everything else goodbye. So I want to make it very serious for you tonight because, folks, this is serious. This is not normal. This is serious. Your life is at stake here. Now, having the technology is great, but if you had a bomb and you had no means of delivery, what good would it be? So if you can't deliver the stupid bomb, what good is it to have one? Now, I can't bring out a working model and bring it to a university. You know why? Because all the universities have sold out. You know how I know? They teach all this garbage. The universities have sold you down the river. I'm not saying all the people in them. There are good people there that think they actually learned everything right. The guy making that motor believes he does it the way he was taught. But garbage in, folks, garbage out. Now, let me tell you something. The universities, if I took a model to them to have them test this, Some scientist somewhere would have a very tough situation. You know why? If he says it works, he's dead. Understand how trillionaires work. They don't work the way you and I work. If he says it works, he's dead. If he says it doesn't work, he's rich. Which one would you do? We don't need a scientist to test this to tell you and me if it works or not, because you are not too stupid to know if a light bulb lights or not. What we need is massive witnesses seeing it with their own eyes on the same day at the same hour nationwide. Now, I'm going to put 100 football fields in America, 2 in every single state. I will have 2 of them in Kansas, 2 of them in Missouri, 2 of them in New York, 2 of them in California, in all the different states. Why 2? Because if they want to come and take one away to prove that it does or doesn't work at a university, a whole football stadium full of people will be watching the other one work while they're trying to decide that. You see the method? Why all 50 states? How many people know we do not live in one country? We live in 50 separate individual countries. They've all got their own constitution. Kansas has a constitution, so does Missouri. So since they're all independent republics, I want the governors in each independent republic, when we prove to them in front of 2 football fields full of people that we really do have the technology and that it really is changing all the rules, we want that governor to say yay or nay in his state. We don't care what the governor in the next state says. It's what the governor in that state says or doesn't say. How many people know that if I get one governor in the United States is pregnant with me? Now, let me show you, because there's trillions of dollars. Ask Saddam Hussein how much money the oil guys have got and how powerful they are. There's trillions of dollars here to stop me from getting to you. So let's do this with wisdom. I have never ran those 2 machines together, ever, anywhere. I ran the motor on a national tour and proved it. I let every scientist in America come and measure it if they wanted to. I went again on another tour and took the generator and proved it and let every scientist come up and measure the input and the output in front of all the people, not in private. This motor has already been shown to be the most efficient permanent magnet motor that's ever been demonstrated in the history of the world. At every single show, everybody measured 1 unit of electricity going in, 5 units of mechanical energy coming out. Any technical person in this room knows that I proved free electricity right then and there. The Sundance generator was the first 100% efficient generator ever demonstrated. At every show we demonstrated 100% efficiency, let everybody test it. Now if the motor's 1 in, 5 out, and the generator's 5 in, 5 electrical out, can anybody figure out why I say I know that I will be able to make free electricity out the football stadium? I don't need to turn that on to know. Anybody technical, if they can just confirm the data, which you can in that free look kit, you don't need for me to turn this on for you to know. I can teach a 7th grade class anywhere in America that'll work. Now, as long as I don't turn it on, I don't have a free electricity machine, they can't commandeer it. You understand the method in my magic, my madness? If I don't turn it on and I don't claim to have it, they can't take it. One attorney general said, why don't you let us turn it on and do it? Test your generator. Test your free electricity machine. I said, the one that doesn't exist? Well, you said you got a free electricity machine. No, I didn't. You just did. Can I quote you on that? I fought 26 of the 50 attorney generals in the United States of America over the last 3 years. Cost me $1 million, and at the end of it, it all went away. Nobody found anything wrong. They tried to stop me from getting this to you, But I'm more stubborn than that because God has told me to go. And let me tell you something, when God tells you to go, nothing stops you. I did a show for the Congress of the United States in 1996. Get the free look kit and find out all about it. How many people here know that they deregulated the electric utilities on July the 19th, 1996? How many people here know I caused it? Not public knowledge, but I gave them an ultimatum to deregulate it by July, or I was going to deregulate it for them. And I showed them a technology that could kill any electric utility company in the United States in 90 days. Your electric company, if God told me to, would be to the ground in 90 days. All of them. By the way, Kansas is very special. I did a show for the Congress of Kansas also. They wanted me to stop their energy problem in Kansas. I said, I will. If you will cause an investigation of Washington, D.C., I will solve your energy problem. All of a sudden, your senators and members of the House of Representatives didn't want to do it anymore. It's all right. Tough luck. Now, I got to get witnesses to football stadiums. If I do it, I win. If I don't do it, I lose. It's that simple. And if we fill 100 football stadiums with people, how many people would that be? 6.5 million people in America. Now I'm going to show you a plan for doing that. And by the way, this plan didn't come from my feeble brain. It came from God Almighty, I believe. But I'm going to show you this plan and how you can get involved in it. What do I want you to do? Go out and get people to be willing to merely come to a football stadium and set their fanny on a seat. How hard is that? Now, by the way, I said I was going to bribe you. So everybody in this room, if you will merely agree with me that you will come to a football stadium, sit down on the chair, and watch me either do it or not. If I do it, or I should say when I do it, you will never pay an energy bill again as long as you live. All your power at your house will be absolutely free because I will put one of those units in action for you, and it will set on your house, feeding all the excess power into the power grid, and the electric company will have to buy it back from me. Now, if I put a unit on your house and you're a priority and it gives you all the power that you need for the rest of your life, I'm not just talking about your lights. I'm talking about your heat, your hot water, all your motors, everything that uses energy in your home will be powered for free for the rest of your life. No more oil bill, no more gas bill, no more electric bill. Would it be worth it to you to just merely come to a football stadium and sit on a chair for that to happen? Pretty good deal, isn't it? Now, some people say that's too good to be true. Let me finish that offer. This is a business proposition. I'm going to take a unit that is going to put out 15 times as much power as you could possibly use for all those functions. This unit is set up to produce 30 kilowatts of electricity over your 30 kVA transformer. Now, this unit on your house will give you your power, but 14 times as much is going to go where? Back over the grid to the electric utilities company. How much of that money am I going to give to you because you came to the stadium? None. Not giving you any of it. Got all your power for free. Not even 15%. But don't get too upset about it yet. I might show a way for you to make some money in this deal too before I'm all done. Now, because you came to the football stadium, your power is going to be free for the rest of your life. Would that be a pretty good reward for just sitting in a seat? But then I'm also going to let you take 9 registrations and give them to your friends and your family and your relatives after the demonstration, and CBS and ABC and NBC are all covering that. How many people know that CBS has to cover 100 football stadiums where somebody's telling them the truth? Got to cover it. So your friends will see it on TV and they'll say, how do I get that? You got to know somebody who came because we gave them 9 of these things, and they can sign up 9 people and no more, and then that's it. That's all we need in the whole country. So if you come, your mother and your aunt and your uncle and your brother are going to be there too, whether in person or not, because you're going to set them all free. So you not only get the right to get all your power for free, you can set 9 other people free as well. Pretty cool, huh? But wait a minute. What if you talk someone else into coming to the stadium? I'm looking for witnesses. Anybody who becomes a witness gets a certificate, this certificate right here. It entitles them not only to free electricity if they come to the stadium. If they don't come to the stadium, what do they get? Nothing. Got to show up at the stadium because a bunch of empty seats aren't going to intimidate your governor. The seats have to be full. But if you come, your 9 friends will be free also. If you will merely do this, if you will merely recruit another person to come, I will let you work for me. Now, if you work for me and the person you recruit comes, I'm going to give you $1,000 a year every year for the next 100 years. That's how long this machine is built to last. As long as I can sell electricity, I'm going to give you $1,000 a year for the guy who came to the stadium because you asked him to come. You think you can get somebody to come to a stadium to never pay an energy bill again as long as they live and set their 9 friends and relatives free at no cost to them whatsoever? Because if you can, that could put $1,000 a year in your pocket. Every year for the next 100 years, and you can will it to whoever you want to will it to when you die. Well, wait a minute. Would that be a pretty good reward? It is, but I'm going to make it better. Remember the 9 people they can sign up? So if I invited this gentleman here, he came to the stadium to get his power for free. He goes and signs up his 9 friends and relatives. And the problem is he's got 17 friends and relatives. That's his problem. He's got more than he's got 9. He's got certificates for. But he signs all 9 of them up because I invited him to the stadium. I get $1,000 a year every year because he came. And I also get $1,000 a year for the 9 people he signed up. How much is that? What's 1,000 and 9,000? Now wait a minute. Let's get clear on this. Am I saying that because you invited one person to come to the stadium and they actually showed up, you could make $10,000 a year every single year for the rest of your life? That's exactly what I'm saying. That's a pretty good reward, isn't it? Now, by the way, whose money am I giving you? The electric company's money. You like that? Doesn't that sound kind of cool? They had too much money anyway. And so we can make this change, and we can give you prosperity in the process. Now, let me make it simple for you to sign everybody up. If you come to work for me and you become a salesman for me, a salesperson, I'm not only going to give you 15% on all the products that we sell, but I'm going to let you invite one person to come to the football stadium if they buy $100 worth of product from you or me. So if you sold $100 worth of product, what would they automatically get? An invitation to come to the football stadium. Now this is pretty cool because if you sold a laundry system, and they'll never pay for laundry detergent again as long as they live, and then they get invited to come to get all of their power, and their 9 friends get their power, you not only made a $15 commission selling the laundry material, but you also might have made a $10,000 annual commission for the rest of your life because they came to the football stadium. Anybody here have a sales job that pays you that kind of commission? $10,000, $15 the first year, and then $10,000 every year for another 99 years. Anybody here do that? So becoming a salesperson for me is really a wonderful opportunity. Now, We have gone beyond this. How many people here are in multi-level marketing programs or like multi-level marketing programs? We have a small group. Because a lot of people say, well, those MLM programs, nah, that's not for me. How many people know that the concept of a multi-level marketing program travels fast? If you come in and you get 3 people, and the 3 people you get, by the way, do you think you could get 3 people to buy any one of these products here? And then automatically be signed up for free electricity as well? And by the way, if you got 3, wouldn't you have just made $30,000 a year for life? That might retire some people here in the room now. But if you got 3 people, and then those 3 people got the message and went out and got 3 people apiece, that would be 9 people that all got signed up. Now I'm going to show you how you not only will get money if the guy that you invite to the stadium comes, but you'll also make money if he invites anyone else to come to the stadium. They call this a downline. Okay? Now, the neat thing about this MLM program, how much does it cost you to join it? Nothing. Do you have to buy any product? No. The only thing you have to buy is a $60 training kit so you understand all of the stuff, which we sell to you at cost. That's it. Now you're in. Now you can go out and not only do it, but you can go out and get all your friends to do it too. And then not only could you set up a retirement for yourself, but how many people would like to get all their friends to retire too? You got to be golfing with somebody. So you can get your friends' retirement as well as your self-retirement. Can you turn this up just a little bit so I don't have to talk quite as loud? Just a little bit. I'll lower it. I got to try to keep up that. Thank you. That's much better. I'm trying to shout to make sure I'm good. All right, now, so what I'm talking about is this. If you did come in, now I'm not going to try to explain a multi-level marketing program to you. How many people think that's confusing? And it gets out here and it's all over the place and you get this and you add a leg and you drop a leg and you get this and you get that. And it is. It's very, very, very confusing. Give me if anything too much. If anything too much, because otherwise I'm not going to have a voice at my next show. All right.
You're loud back here.
All right, I know, and I'm good. All right, but I don't want to try to get too loud, because if I don't hear it back here, I'm shouting. Now, so what I'm talking about here is this. I'm going to make it real simple for you. You can go to bwanetwork.com. You can see the section where it says MLM. You can look at a PowerPoint presentation and it'll take 1 frame at a time. You can study that until you understand it and then go to the next frame. Study that till you understand it and go to the next frame. And you can learn all of this. And if you already know all about MLM, you'll be surprised because we got the greatest MLM in the business. There's nothing like this out there, nothing. Dr. Keith Lagos built it, the editor of Moneymakers Monthly. He built our MLM program. It's incredible. But I'm going to give you the highlights. You bring 3 people in on your first line. They bring 3 in, that's 9. You now got 12 people downline of you. They bring 3 people in, that's 27. They all bring 3 people in, and it's simple. As you see now, it's easy to do. Just get everybody, get the free look kit. I'll do all the selling for you. They bring 3 people in, you got 81 more. They bring 3 people in, you got 243. It's a 3 by 5 matrix. It's full. You now have 363 people downline of you, and if they all come to the football stadium, they're all going to make you money. Not $10,000 a year. All the people downline of you are going to make you $1,000 a year. Well, that would be how much? $363,000 a year. That's not bad. But what if they invited people too? Because you're also going to get all the other people they invite beyond the 3. How many people do you want to get to the stadium if you're going to get $10,000 a piece for them? Well, if you get 10 of them to the stadium, how much are you going to make? $100,000 a year. What? Retirement for life. If you get 100 people to the stadium, how much would you make? $1 million a year. every year for the rest of your life. Beats the heck out of the lottery, folks. That's just 100 people. Well, you can find 100 people in one church. And by the way, does that count? You bet it counts. We have a program for the churches. Now, so you can go out and you can do this as an individual. Do you have to be part of the MLM to do this? No, you don't. You don't have to join the MLM to get to $10,000 a year. You don't have to join it. But you wouldn't get the money on the people that you brought in because you're not connected to them. So if you want to just be a salesperson, get them. Hey, $10,000 a year for every one of them. But if you want to then join the MLM program as well, which costs you nothing, there's no reason for you not to. All you have to do is recruit one person in the MLM program and you're in the MLM program. Then everything that happens downline of you makes you money. Not only the product, but also the free electricity. Now, to make it real simple, we don't just have a 3x5 matrix, you can expand it. By getting one place in it, you automatically can expand it. And you can make it as wide as you want. It could be a 100x5. But we have another thing in there that I'm going to tell you about right now that's really going to make this worthwhile for you. Because anyone you recruit into the MLM program, they will go build their own matrix. Not only are you going to get $1,000 a year for everybody that goes to the stadium and everybody that gets to the stadium in your matrix, but if you get somebody in his own matrix, we got a matching bonus, 50% matching bonus. If he goes and builds his matrix and he sets up 1,200 people downlining him because he believes in it and knows it, he could actually be making him $1.2 million a year because he built that, and you'd get $600,000 a year because you recruited him. So you should not only get in, you should also get everybody that likes multi-level marketing programs in too. And anybody that doesn't like them, you should say, please sit and figure this out with me. Believe me, there's a lot of reasons for you to get excited about this and get in it. Now, why am I growing this like this? Because, folks, my plan, that's why I'm on a tour right now. My plan, by the time this tour is over, and I'm meeting pastors on the road as well, so you can get pastors to come to pastor meetings or business people to come to business meetings. This is a business meeting tonight. Look at BWA Network and you'll see my tour schedule, including pastor shows as well as business shows. And you can get pastors to come too. When they come in with their whole church, guess who gets credit for recruiting them? You do. Got a pastor, got 100 people in his church. By the way, what are we giving the church? The key to this is I'm a Christian. No, the key to this is I love God. The key to this is Jesus Christ is my brother and my master. The key to this is I'll do anything for him. Anything. And the key to this is that I am giving 100% of the profit for every machine that comes out of a church to the church. I get nothing. So if you do get a church in, I'm working pretty much for free for the church. Well, actually for God. And so the pastor can get all the money I would have gotten selling all the electricity to the electric utility companies. It's huge. It's huge. It's huge. If you don't know about that, whoever invited you here, get back with them and say, please tell me more about that. And we can get you some more information about that. You can go to Kingdom Grant, www.kingdomgrant.org, Kingdom Grant. You can learn all about it. It's a grant that we're giving to the churches. Why? Because I don't care about it. Pardon?
When is the event?
Now, the event, the reason why I'm on this tour right now is because I'm trying to get you inspired. I'm trying to get people in Sacramento and San Diego and Las Vegas and Houston inspired. And if I can get you guys going out to get 3 so that those guys can go get 3, and I can get people getting pastors that get 100 at a time, I believe that I will get all the witnesses that I need, 1.6 million. I already have 600,000. I have 1 million to go. That I can get all of those in time to have this show on July the 10th of the year 2006. Now that means you got to get moving. You got to get moving. Because if I have the show, that's gone. You can still sell the products. You can still get 15%. You can get upline and downline commissions on everything everybody sells up and down line of you if you're in the MLM. It's very, very rich. This product line is great. But when I do the demonstration, the electricity's over. Whatever amount of that you got before the demonstration is the amount of that you got. If I can't get those by April, my tour's over at the end of March. If I can't get those commitments by April, or early May, the earliest, the latest, I won't be able to do July the 10th of this year. Then it will be July the 10th of the year 2007. You'll have more time. Because I'm going to do it on July the 10th because that's Nikola Tesla's birthday. And they've called that the Universal Energy Independence Day. And I just think that it'd be a wonderful day for us to make our statement to the entire world. How many people know that if we're able to achieve this on July the 10th, that all the rules change for everything and we could actually save this entire country? How many people know that the fate of this entire nation and you and your family is riding on whether you do this or not? It is. There's nothing else that can do that in time. If all of a sudden the world came and 6.5 million people, you guys are going to recruit 1.6, they're going to put 4 people in their car and that's going to pack the stadium. We're encouraging everybody to bring 4 people. Bring your mother-in-law who says you're crazy, you believe all of this crazy junk. Bring her to the show. You'll want to talk to her on the way home. She might have to talk to you on the way home. Let's hope. Anyway, so we're going to pack the stadium. 6.5 million eyes are going to come like this, and they're going to get like this because we're going to show them corn cookers. We're going to show them engines that run on water. We're going to show them free electricity. We're going to show them all kinds of things, plastic housing, cameras that look into human bodies. God only knows what we're going to be showing them that day. And they're going to come to see free electricity, and their eyes are going to get like this. And by the way, once you let that genie out of that bottle, the Department of Energy, none of these people can hold that down again. That will release what? That will release a whole flood of technologies from us that we intend to revolutionize a new industry every week. And that means big business is going to have to go back to work and bring all their suppressed technologies out and compete with us. And we'll have a thing in America called free enterprise again. Won't that be cool? We can build our economy back. We can stop the runaway giveaway of our nation. And by the way, how many people know that as we bring all these products out, you will be selling them? Would anybody like to sell a camera that could look right in the human body to a doctor for $10,000? He has it in his drawer. He pulls it out and says, let's take a look at that tumor. What do you think? You think you could sell that? Well, what would your commission be? $1,500 for every doctor you know. And look at that research nearing completion. You know what nearing completion means? That means as soon as we do the show, those are going on the market right away. Look at those and you tell me if you think you could sell any of those little helicopters or anything else in there. Let me tell you something, folks. If we do it, this is our opportunity. If we do this, the world will never be the same again. And by the way, that's up to us. Everybody know that if we don't do this, what happens? It's just business as usual. And I'm going to tell you right now, the spider is spinning a web around you right now and you don't even know it. Let's don't let them close that thing in. Because I believe if we have the football stadium before they get our guns, we can do it. Because they will not do this before they disarm the people. They've already disarmed Canada. And they're working pretty hard at disarming us. Okay, and they're taking your rights away like crazy. You remember the thing was only going to last 4 years? They're renewing it. Isn't that cool? Anyway, I just wanted to tell you guys that this is more than a business opportunity, but boy, is it a great business opportunity. This is more than just the right to go buy some products that'll make you happy and that'll help you. Please get involved or seriously think about getting involved in the business end of this as well. And then go get your friends to get involved in this. Do you know the difference between you and them? You're sitting here. And you know what? They can sit here. It's easy. All you got to do is give them this free look kit. They will see more in here than you see here now. They'll get all the evidence and the proof in here. What does it cost them? Nothing. They have to secure it with a check, and we don't even care if it's not good. As long as they give it back, we'll never know the check was no good. Their credit card may not have $100 on it. We don't check it out. We'll send it to them, and if we don't get it back, then we'll check it out and we'll find out their credit card was no good. It happens to us, but it happens infrequently because most people are honest. Anyway, that's what I came here to tell you. And I also want to tell you guys that, and I'll stay here and I'll answer questions as long as you want to. Any question you want about anything. Some people ask me questions like, what's it going to look like? And I'll answer that one for you now. Here's exactly what it's going to look like on your lawn. It's an unbreakable rock. And we just set it on your lawn. We got 13 decorator colors. Pick a color that you like. It sets over this, which is 32 inches by 32 inches. So it's a rock about that size. And when you look on your lawn, it just looks like you got this nice decorator rock on your lawn. Paint your house number on it. By the way, when I showed this to a crowd of people, one lady jumped up and she said, Mr. Lee, do you know what you just said? And I said, yeah, we're going to disguise this as a rock. And she said, would that be the Rock of Ages? I think that is so cool that all the electricity in America is coming from the rock. You think God doesn't have a sense of humor? Believe me, he's got a sense of humor. Anyway, you can ask me any question. I'm on the hot seat. I gave you a lot to think about tonight, and I pray that you will do that. You can go to bwanetwork.com, and then you put in the URL of whoever invited you here. Please, 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 if someone invited you here, contact them and make sure you're on their website. Because when you sign up, you'll have your own replicated website for free. It doesn't cost you a dime. And you can put www.bwanetwork.com/God is love, or your telephone number, or whatever you want on there. And then every time they go there, if they sign up or buy anything, you automatically get credit for it. So if you're going to join this, if you're going to tell your friends about it, get in first, and then tell them to go to your website and look it over. Please, if somebody thought enough of you to invite you here tonight, don't just go to bwanetwork.com. That's the company website, and stop there. Put in the URL also. Please do that. Because these people deserve to be rewarded for you coming into this program. Okay? But you can go there, and it's $59 for a sales kit. And that's it. You're in. You're a preferred customer. You don't have to take the next step in the MLM if you don't want to. But the minute you recruit another person in the MLM, then you're automatically in the MLM. You don't pay any money. And if you don't want the checks, give them to charity. You can send them back to me. Okay? Anyway, that's what I came to tell you. Now what I want to do is answer your questions, because you guys will probably do a better job of presenting this than I did. Anybody got a question? I'll stay here and answer them until you're done. Any question? Yes, sir.
Are all these things protected with copyrights and patents?
Are all these things protected with copyrights and patents? When you go up against the most powerful people in the world, you realize that a patent is totally irrelevant. We have other forms of protection that we can use, and the greatest form of protection is we just don't tell them about it till we're ready to hit the market with it. If I patented that device right there, Rockefeller would have it before the ink dried on the patent. And so, yes, we do have protections, but the greatest protection any inventor has is you have to be able to obsolete yourself. There's nothing I've told you that I can't obsolete. So if somebody copies that, they help me build the market. When I get the market big enough, I obsolete it and come in and take over the whole market. That's the way we do the protection mainly. Yes?
One other question. If we could guarantee you that we could get, say, 300 people together in another major city, at least that, or 250, would you come there with the show?
Would I come if you could guarantee us 300 people in another major city? Which major city?
Denver.
Denver, Colorado?
Yes.
He's the driver, for crying out loud. He's also got a little granddaughter that just got born in Denver, Colorado. When?
You tell us.
Okay, we'll tell you. Write down your name and number and stuff and give it to Rick, okay? Rick will definitely work it out if I know Rick. Next question, yes?
Who are the inventors of all these things?
Okay, that's a good question. Let me tell you who I am so that there's no confusion about this. I'm a Christian who has no fear of the world. People keep saying the oil companies are going to kill me, etc. But you can't threaten a Christian with heaven. And I have had the courage to go on all my tours. And in every one of my tours, every time I speak, I stand on the stage and tell it like it is. And somebody comes up and puts a business card in here and says, please call me, please call me. The guy who developed that tornado engine and the guy who built the engine that runs on birdseed and corn and McDonald's French fries, the same guy, was one of those people. Now, the thing I do is I come out and I talk about all of this, so if they're going to shoot somebody, I'm here. They can kill me. The inventors are in the back. I don't talk about them. I don't talk about who they are, where they are, anything, primarily because they can kill me, but these people don't want to be targets. So right now, the thing I am primarily is the target. Some of these inventions came from me. I've got about 7 inventions that are mine now, and I've got about 13 more that we're developing that are mine. But most of these inventions came from other people. I wish I could tell you how marvelous these people are. And someday I will get the privilege, the honor, if I live, I will get the privilege of standing out on the stage and introducing these wonderful people to the world, because they need to be introduced to the world. The Hall of Fame wanted to put me in the Hall of Fame, and I refused to do it for 1 year. The second year, they said the Inventors Hall of Fame, and I said, I don't think I qualify for that. And the second year, they came to me again. They said, everybody's nominating you. We want you in the Hall of Fame. And I said, well, I would be ashamed to be in the Hall of Fame with the kind of people that I have with me in my research group. So if you will induct the entire BWA research team, whoever they are, into the Hall of Fame, then I will allow you to induct me in as a member of that team. So that's how I'm inducted now in the Hall of Fame. There was a man named Thomas Edison that many people respect and admire, but actually he was a thief. He was anything but a great man. As a matter of fact, he was a traitor to the American cause, and he's the reason that you're under control right now. People say that man was so prolific. No, he wasn't. He's a man who had 1,000 researchers working with him in his research facility. He paid them $8 a week. And every time they invented anything, it became another Edison invention. To me, he's a liar and a thief and a coward. And I would never tell you that I am that, because I'm a man of God. And so I don't claim to be the inventor in most of these technologies. Some of them I do, but I can't tell you anything beyond that, because I'm protecting the real people who are the real heroes in this program. Okay? Another question. Anybody? Yes?
If guys wanted to get one of those jackhammers straight?
Yes, if you get, now you can lease a jackhammer for, like I said, $150 a month. If you go out and you actually do a good job as a distributor and you sell other products, then we would give you one of them on loan that you then could go out and try with it, and then you would own it. The same thing with the water gas machine. For people who are actually going to go out and make something happen, we'll spot you a water gas machine. You don't have to buy it. And you could say to a guy, look, you're cutting steel right now with acetylene. We can put a machine in here. You don't say water. Don't tell them water. We can put a machine in here that makes our gas, capital R gas. And our gas means our gas, not your gas, that's our gas. And you say it's our gas, I don't know what all it is, but it's good stuff. And then you say, we will put a machine in your facility and you give us no money at all, nothing. Now, if you get 2 customers like that, then we will ship a machine out to your area and we put it in the first guy, but he has to make an agreement that he will pay us 25% less than he's paying for his gas right now. We'll let him use the machine for 24 hours. And if it isn't as good as what he's using, we'll just take it back, no harm done. But if it is as good as what he's using, he has to keep it and pay 25% less. So if he was paying $4,000 for acetylene gas, he'd now pay $3,000 for our gas. Now, by the way, this is what we use to make our gas, so there's a lot of profit in that $3,000. But what happens is we come back at the end of a 2-week period of time. You would come back with a water bottle, and you'd start to pour water in the machine. And you'd have all the people gather around. Everybody come see, we're going to fill the machine with our chemicals. We use dihydromonoxide. It's a deadly poison. 2 hydrogens, 1 oxygen, pour them in. When they say, what are you putting water in there for? You got to cool the machine down first? And you say, no, that's all we use, just water. You're paying us $3,000 a month for water. Boss man loves you. You're getting a Christmas card for sure this year. And then they'll get the point that they should be putting their own water in the machine and buying the machine. The machine's $12,000. But if you're saving $4,000 a month on water and using just a water hose, how long does it take to pay for a $12,000 machine? A little over 3 months. We use a little bit of electricity. 88 cents worth of electricity maxes the capacity of the machine an hour. So you'd have about $50 worth of electricity and water in a water hose, and you'd take the place of a $4,000 gas bill. So, you guys want to do that, believe me, we're looking for people who can do this. We're looking for people who've got the connections to do this. If you're ready to go, we will back your effort. But we're not looking for talkers, we're looking for walkers.
You have to give them more than 15% for people to move and motivate.
Okay, now let's take a look at this 15%. Let's take a look at that real quick. Now you go up to a guy and you say to him, look, I can get you your gas for 25% less. And it's good gas. You don't have to work too hard to do that. He says, you're kidding me. No, I can get a machine put here. You don't give me any money. And if it works as good as your other gas right now, then you pay me, you just pay $3,000 instead of $4,000. That's an easy sell. Now, if he does that, you get 15% of what? Of $3,000 worth of gas a month. What is 15% of $3,000? $450. You're making $450 a month, and all you did was say to a guy, I can get your gas for 25% less. He didn't even have to buy anything. Now, he uses it, and now you put water in it. What's he going to want to do the minute he sees you putting water in that? He's going to want to buy the machine. He's like, are you crazy? I can put my own water in that, and it's only $12,000? See, if you told him $12,000, he'd say $12,000, and he'd focus on that. But once you show him that it's water, all of a sudden $12,000 looks reasonable. Now, so what happens is then he's going to want to buy the $12,000 machine. Who sold it to him? You did. What's 15% of $12,000? So he made $450 a month for 3 months because he's got to give you a 60-day notice to change to buy the machine. So that's $450 for 3 months, $1,300 that you just made on one sale. And then you're going to sell them the machine for $12,000. All you got to do is just fill out the paperwork. And 15% of $12,000 is? How much money did you make together? $1,800 and $1,300. $2,100. For what? $3,100. You should be able to do it in 15 minutes. If you take more than 15 minutes to sell him his gas for 25% less, you're talking too much. Yep. Pardon? Then, by the way, you also get him to come to the free electricity thing and make $10,000 a year. Yeah. Who services the machine? We do. Now, if you're out there, then there will be a dealer. Now, we have dealers. There are 2,000 dealers in the United States. As a matter of fact, if anyone in this room wants to be a dealer, you can be a dealer. You can buy a dealership. That's cash. It's a business. Then that dealer will service that equipment, and the equipment will be part of the dealer's inventory, and the dealer will take care of all of this stuff. So me and 2,000 dealers. A dealership sells for as much as $100,000 for a dealership. So people have paid $100,000 to be in my dealership program. Right now, you can get a dealership from a dealer if you can find a dealer. If you know a dealer could easily sell you one for $10,000 because I just made some available to my dealers for resale. So you should find a dealer, get involved in that, because if you're interested, that'll be the best $10,000 you ever spent in your life. If you don't have the money, don't worry, just work with me for free. But if you become a dealer, you own all the rights to all of our technologies, all the marketing rights worldwide right now. Every time we develop a product and put it on the market, you own the rights to it worldwide. I got dealers selling in Australia, in South Africa, all over the world right now as we speak. Can you imagine turning mud roads into concrete roads in some of the third world countries? A block maker that sits there and builds whole villages where they got all the labor for free and they got the dirt. I mean, it's huge what you can do in the world. But you got to find yourself a dealer. If somebody invited you here, or if you ever want to know who your dealer is you're associated with, go to info@bwanetwork.com. info@bwanetwork.com. Say, I don't know who my dealer is, but I'm interested in a dealership. I want to get involved in this. And then we'll contact you and help you find out who your dealer is. And they can sell you a dealership for 10 grand, not 100. Yes. No. If you have got right now a propane heating system or a gas heating system or an oil heating system, you have got one of the more expensive options of heating. Now, it's less to buy the oil or the gas than the electricity, but if your electricity is free, and so I can convert your propane. Let's say you got a fossil fuel burner that is a blower. It has forced air. If you look inside of a toaster, you see those little resistors in there. I can put those inside your forced air ducts, and we shut off your oil or your gas furnace, and now the air blows through there and it blows over those hot coils and it sends all the heat in the house. That conversion is very, very, very cheap.
And there'll be a conversion kit available?
Yeah, and those conversion kits will be available for everybody because our dealers will want to convert all the houses to that. So if you got a boiler, right now you got water and it's going inside of there, I can put an electric boiler in there for about $500 and it creates a dead short. And man, you'll heat that water now. And the only thing that you would do, you'd be insane to do that if you had to buy the electricity, but your electricity's free. Oh, we could probably convert most houses for about $1,000, about $1,000. Now you're all electric, huh? Building codes are fine because those are all set up for electric burners. You can have an electric burner, it's just you wouldn't buy that. All I'm doing is just converting it to electric instead of a oil flame or a gas flame. Let me tell you something, that electric doesn't get any hotter than the oil and gas flame does. So it's real easy to convert. Somebody else with a question?
It's very expensive.
But if it's free, how much would it be? See, I'm giving you all your power for free, so when that happens, you better convert to electricity. Yes?
I'm getting, I think, conflicting information a little bit. You made the statement that our guns would protect us. And I read up a lot of stuff
I think so.
on Nikola Tesla technology.
Yes.
And what I read recently would say that things called scalar waves, or things produced by
Tom Bearden. Yes. Yes.
I don't care if we keep our guns because those guns won't do us any good. They have technology that
The only thing I can say right now is there has to be some reason why they're not telling us that we're not even free. Anybody that does any kind of real, honest study, and you can do it on the internet, you will find out that you're anything but free in this country right now. And that they already do have those rights to take it over. Well, if they have the right to take it over, be the king, and you're no longer a free man, why aren't they doing it? And I got to say that the only reason is they're concerned about the fact that we are a very well-armed militia. Now, by the way, I bought the Tesla Society. I own the Tesla Society. And I have all the papers that the FBI confiscated from Nikola Tesla's bedroom the day that he died. I have all those papers. As a matter of fact, the unit that'll put your electric company out of business, we built it after studying Tesla's drawings for 14 years. We finally understood what that brilliant man was saying. He was telling us from the grave, now he couldn't build one. I have a negawatt circuit. You'll see it on that videotape. I have a negawatt circuit, and Tesla never built it. We built the only one and have the only one in the world today. And we took it on tour and demonstrated it for people as well. But it will take all the power coming into your house. When the electricity comes into your house, what you think is that you consume it, but you don't consume it. You only use 50% of the power coming into your house. Guess where the other 50% goes? Right into the ground. It goes right straight into the ground. Why? Because they don't want it back. They're sending AC power, and we could turn all that power back and send it right back to the electric utility company with that device that came from the mind of Nikola Tesla that he never built, that we did build. And it actually is the only time I've ever, in research, set out to build something from the diagram that we had from his mind. And it actually worked the first time we turned it on. I've never had a success like that in my life. But Tesla couldn't build it because he didn't have a Radio Shack, and he didn't have a place where you can go pick up all the diodes and all the electronics that you needed. Now he was describing things that he would build if he had time to build them and materials to build them that we found on the market that have been built. And so we put it all together by figuring out what he was describing and then going and buying it. And so we actually, can you imagine, he was riding on horses and buggies at that time. But the man is so brilliant. That's why we want to honor him, because we want this to be the International Tesla Electric Company. See, Tesla, back in the days when Edison was there, Tesla actually had free electricity. He determined that the ionosphere is a positive charge. He said to J.P. Morgan, I can pull the power down through the clouds, convert it to dielectricity, send it through the airs with no EMF. He knew all about EMF. With no EMF at all. And anybody could pound a receiver in the ground and they could all receive it. And he said, all we'll do is just sell them a $10,000 receiver, a $1,000 receiver, and they'll have all the electricity they need for 20 years until it wears out, and then we'll sell it to them again. J.P. Morgan didn't want to do that because Edison had a plan to put everybody on the power grid. Power comes in, you pay through your nose for it, you're on the hook, and they have total control over you, and they can charge you anything. And so we went the way of Edison instead of Tesla. But there's no reason why any of us were ever on the electric utility grid, except that J.P. Morgan banker wanted to exploit us with the grid system. So anyway, no, Nikola Tesla is a wonderful, wonderful man. And by the way, the little unit that we built, we showed it to the Congress of the United States. It's about this big. And it cost me $40 to build one solid state. If I put it on your house, all the power comes in, goes through the box, on your side of the meter, which is legal, lights everything in the house, and then it sends it right back to the power company it came from. And the funny thing is that the electric meters can only measure power flowing in one direction. And it always measures it flowing in the last direction it flowed in. So your meter runs backwards and they owe you money even though everything in your house was lit. I said to the Congress of the United States, I said, how'd you like to see me put one of those on every home in America? And all the electric companies will no longer have anyone to sell to, but they'll have to buy back 50% of everything they produced. That's why they deregulated the electric utilities, because I threatened to do that. Yeah. Anyway, another question. Anybody have a question? Anybody with a question? Yes.
Do you have machine shop or something like that helping you build this stuff?
I have my own research lab. I have my own machine shop. I have 2,000 dealers. Actually, I'm about 100 short right now because we're reselling some dealerships, and so there are some available for new guys. But if they have shops, then I have a shop. If they have factories, then I have a factory. One guy asked, how in the world are you going to build all of these units? Because I'm going to put 16 million of those units on 16 million homes. And then I'm going to shut down every oil-fired, gas-fired, and coal-fired, and nuclear plant in the United States of America, because 16 million 30 kW homes will supply 1.5 times all the power that was produced last year in this country. Now, how will I build 16 million units? I intend, every time we do a show, to announce that all the units that we're going to build for Iowa, or for Ohio, or for Kentucky, or for Kansas are all going to be built in Kansas or in Iowa or in Kentucky. No Mexicans are going to be working across the border on any of these units. No Koreans are going to be working on them. No Chinamans are going to be working on them. We will create the jobs in the state. Now, your governor is a whore for jobs, by the way. And so the minute that you create all those jobs, he's like, ho, 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 yeah, yes, 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 yes. He wants that. How many factories do you have in Kansas that could easily, all we're doing is winding copper? There's nothing unique. There's nothing terrible about this. We have 7 mountains full of the rare earth materials. They call them rare earth, but they're not rare. They just call them rare earth. They're really not rare. We have 7 mountains of the stuff. And so we just wheel it in, and people can we make our own cores and coils. So we teach everybody to do that in Kansas, and they build all the units for Kansas, so we make your governor happy. By the way, 89 million cars are going to have to get converted in America. Guess where all those jobs are going to happen? All the mechanics in Kansas are going to be modifying all the cars in Kansas. I'm going to be your governor's best friend. See, when he finally realizes that it's a whole lot better to deal with us than it is to deal with the fossil fuels guys because they're done. See, the day that we demonstrate this, the fossil fuels guys are over. They're done. They've got a 5-year period of time at best to get off of that to get off the horse. And by the way, he who rides a tiger has a problem. You got to try to figure out how to get off the tiger without getting clawed to death. And so we're going to get them off the tiger that they're riding, believe me. So that's how we're going to do the jobs. Yes?
Were you on Coast to Coast a couple of weeks ago or something?
No, I never got on Coast to Coast because the commentator, what's his name?
George Norrie.
Huh?
Art Bell and George.
Art Bell was the one at the time. Art Bell said, tell Dennis Lee, I am not going to have him on until he's willing to show me a working model. And I said, hallelujah, Art. He's talking about flying saucers and stuff, but he has to believe me. Anyway, and so I said, Art, I'm taking you up on that. One of the first models is going to be on your house. When I have my 100 football stadiums, I'm going to take a unit and put it down on your house and give everybody your address and they can all come and see it. And I'm doing that, by the way. I am going to do that. He agreed that I could do that. I'm going to do that. I'm holding him to it. So no, I haven't been on Coast to Coast because the man who believes in flying saucers just can't muster up enough belief in me.
Yeah, but it's George Norrie now.
If George Norrie will get me on, I will be on any one of those shows anytime, anywhere. I'm happy to be anywhere that I can publicize this because that's my job. Another question over here. And well, let me do this one here first. Yes.
On diesel.
On diesel.
Can that be converted now?
Okay, let's say that you're a farmer and you get the ethanol. You've got blackstrap molasses, alcohol, and gasoline. If you add soybean oil, you have a biodiesel. 10% soybean oil, you've now got biodiesel. Yes, sir. And I, by the way, have a truck that I didn't bring that is modified to run. It's a diesel engine, is modified. It runs on 1/3 gas, 1/3 water, and 1/3 diesel. That's my diesel engine. Let me tell you what that would do for your diesel cost in your diesel truck if you were going across America. If you can show a 5 or 10% savings to a trucker, he's going to kiss you because he'll pay for his rig just in the savings in gasoline. Another question? One right back there first, and then I'll come right back to you because you did one before, and then I'll come over here. Go ahead.
Put that kit on your automobile engine. Will that do anything about not having past inspection, but we don't have state inspection for a car?
We modified an engine in New Jersey. We drove it down to the inspection station. They wouldn't pass it. We said to the guy, "Are you out of your mind? Are you flunking this?" He said, "No, I'm not flunking it and I'm not passing it." We said, "You're not flunking it and you're not passing it?" He said, "Yes." He says, "This instrument that we have measures from a small amount of pollution to a big amount of pollution. And since we can't find any pollution at all, we can't make it work, so we can't pass it." That's the geniuses that we have down there. So what we did was we put a little switch up on the dash. When you switch it to the left, you're modified. When you switch it to the right, you're not modified. So now you go in, switch it to the left, let them test it. And if they won't pass you, turn right back around, go right back in again, flip it to the right. Say, "Test this thing again. I'm sure there's some pollution here." Then when they see pollution, they'll be like, "Okay, you can go, you can go." But actually what you do is just flip it to the right, give them the pollution, and then when you come out, flip it to the left and stop polluting. I know. Let me tell you something. When we have the football stadium, all the rules will change. All the rules will change. Right now, they won't give us access to the exhaust system. When we have the football stadium and we prove to 7 million people that we can run their cars if we just had access to the exhaust system, believe me, they're going to be rethinking those laws. Because what will happen if 7 million people in 100 football stadiums all go home that next night? Won't they tell 10 people what they saw? How many people will that be? 70 million. Let me tell you something, folks. The whole key here is to mobilize the people. We're mobilizing the people without them even knowing we're mobilizing them. The people are going to be heard. The people are going to have a voice. The people are actually going to do something and they don't even know they're doing it. They think they're just coming down to get free electricity. But let me tell you something. The minute that they wake up, you never get that genie back in that bottle again. And how many people know that I'm not coming with just a free electricity machine? I'm coming with a flatbed trailer. We're going to build every one of those units on a flatbed trailer in one central location. We've already picked it out. It's an ex-government facility that has some good protection. All those units, flatbed trailers, are going in 100 different directions on the same time. They're all due to land. By the way, Michigan militia has already promised me that there will be armed guards on every one of those rigs. Militiamen. They'll go in all directions. On the right time, they will pull into the football field. We don't need to hook up to anything in the football field. It's all self-contained. So there we are in a flatbed trailer with all of these things we're going to show. We demonstrate everything we're going to demonstrate that day. And when the Attorney General comes down and says, "You can't do this, we've got to commandeer this," we're bringing 2 free electricity machines on every one of those units and say, "Which one do you want?" Take that over to university and test it while we're showing this one to the rest of the people here and leave us alone. And by the way, with 70,000 people there, I think probably we're going to be able to make our case. The only thing they could do is call out the National Guard, surround the football stadium, and send everybody home and say there's not going to be a demo here. See, that's going to be the moment of truth. If 50 governors call out the National Guard at 100 football stadiums, and they send everybody home that day, then we got bigger problems, and all of a sudden there's going to be a lot of knowledge. The general population is going to know all about freedom that day. Because we wanted to show them something that could set them free and that could stop polluting and killing 60,000 Americans every year. Let me tell you something they can't do. I don't think they will do that. I don't think they can. But let's hope that they can't do that, because if they do that, it was inevitable anyway. Okay? Let's hope that we get this done before they get that done. This is a race. It is a race. I have the ability to do way more than I'm telling you. If you look at the DVD, you'll see that tonight I didn't tell you anything. And then you find out that that's only 10% because I got 500 and that's 50. So now you got to imagine all the things I didn't tell you. Let me tell you something. I keep it all close to the chest because I'm planning on bringing all of these things out at the right day, at the right time. We have one model of free electricity that doesn't even have a generator. It doesn't even have a motor. It's two little posts sitting on a piece of wood. Imagine this being a piece of wood and there's two little posts sticking out of it. And I walk up to those posts with a light bulb and I put it on it and the light bulb lights. It's not plugged in anywhere. There's no generator. There's no mechanical device. It stays lit all day long, all night long, until the bulb burns out a year later. I throw it away and get another one. It stays lit. I will it to my children and my children's children, and it never, ever, ever runs out of electricity. Because one of these is 74 elements, one of these is 73 elements. By arranging the elements in the right order, we actually get a free flow of electrons from neutrinos. Let me tell you something, I'm way more dangerous than I look. And all of us and all the things that we've done. And by the way, where did all this come from? It came from all the people who have been beaten, who have been imprisoned, who have been killed, who have been bought off and run off by the big rich energy people, the big rich businesses in America. And now they develop these things. They don't bring them forward because they know they'll get killed. They just play with them in their basement and wait for somebody like me to come along. And then when they see me, they're like, yeah, this guy's not afraid of anything. I'm not. Hey, if I walk with God, why would I be afraid of anything? And so this is the thing that has caused this to happen. And all of it has come from them. They have caused this calamity to come upon themselves. And the only thing that can happen now is you and I will bring it. But my friend, if you and I don't bring it, it won't happen. I can't do this. I demonstrated a free electricity machine in Ventura, California in 1988. I did it. I did it publicly. I invited the public to come. I got up on the stage to demonstrate that unit, and the sheriff came in and arrested me right on the stage. Get that green book, get my book and read it. The whole story's in there. All the evidence that went all the way to the U.S. Supreme Court, and they did something they've never done in U.S. history in my case. It's all in there. Well, you can know who we are. And I demonstrated it. I was there to demonstrate it. They confiscated it. They said, this is evidence in a trial. Nobody's turning anything on today. And they had 6 cops there that helped everybody out of the building in order because they thought there would be a riot. Then they took it down and they said that it didn't work. A guy who was an expert from Consolidated Edison in California tested it and he said, Judge, it doesn't work. I was held over for trial. They threatened all my witnesses. You can actually see Vane Frazier, the man who saved my life. You can see him on that first videotape that we're selling out there, free electricity. He will testify at what happened at the raid. They came to him and told him if he came to court, they would kill him. They would kill his wife. The sheriff told him, we'll kill your wife. Here's where your 3 sons live. Here's all their addresses. They'll all be dead before you get off the witness stand. We'll wait a while because you'll be too visible, and then we'll kill you. He ran to Germany. He went out of the whole country. All my experts did, leaving me stuck behind. I've never had a degree in physics in my life. I never had a physics course in my life. And here I was trying to defend all of this stuff. You know what? A year later, God kept me in jail for a year, holding them off. If they spit in front of me, we went to court. So for a whole year, I just kept bringing them to court, bringing them to court. And a year later, the guy came back thinking that I was already in prison. They were going to lock me up for 40 years. I didn't even have any witnesses. And then I brought a charge against them for misconduct and had the sheriff on the witness stand that day, a year later. And Vane Frazier, you'll see him in that tape, he came back to California. He said to his son, he says, son, I'm so ashamed of myself. This man is in prison for life now, and I could have saved him. And I could have, even more importantly, I could have stood up for the truth. And his son said, I hope you mean what you're saying, Dad, because they haven't got him at trial yet. He's been holding him off. And he's got the sheriff that threatened you and Mom on the witness stand. He says, so if you really mean that, why don't you go down there? Took his hat off, threw it on the floor, and drove right down to the courthouse. Came into the courthouse that day, And he said, if that man over there in shackles is guilty of anything, I'm more guilty than him. I built the machine. He was my chief research scientist. I built the machine you're talking about. And the guy on the witness stand said he would kill me if I came to court. You want to shoot me? Here, sir, take me out back and shoot me. I'm tired of running from you. We got him on the stand. 13 witnesses came forward, and get the book, the green book. It's the whole story. It's there, all the evidence. You'll see all the affidavits, everything. 13 witnesses came forward, and then we actually proved to the judge in a court of law we could make electricity for free. And the minute we did that, the judge brought the hammer down and he said, I've heard enough. In the chambers now. So we all went in chambers and, yes, Mr. Lee, you can come in too. And we all went into chambers and he said, the prosecutor's going to dismiss the criminal case against you and you're free to go today. Prosecutor started to say something. He says, you don't need to say nothing. It's over, Mr. Lee. You're free to go. And I was dismissed. Now that somehow became something negative about me. But I proved in a court of law I could make electricity in 1990. Do you know that not one newspaper in the United States of America ever did that story, including the county I was arrested in? They didn't even do it on page 93. No story at all. Popular Science didn't want it. Mechanics Illustrated didn't want it. Life didn't want it. Time didn't want it. CBS, ABC, NBC didn't want it. Nobody. Larry King would not let me on his show. Got so tired of people asking him, we've got his voice coming on saying, we're not going to do that Dennis Lee character on the Larry King show. Stop asking us. Because they gave a $10,000 cash reward to anybody who could get me on Oprah or any of those shows. None of them would do it. It was in 1990, I proved that I could make free electricity in a court of law, and 40 years worth of criminal charges against me were dismissed, and nobody even knows it. Unless you read my book. Nobody knew it. So see, we know what they can do if it's just one or two of us or a small group of us. That's why fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. It took me 16 years to put this back together again, and I crawled through ashes to do it. And if you noticed, I don't have another 16 years to do this again because I'm going to be too old, and I want somebody else to take this over before then. Okay, and so, hey guys, this is it. This is our one chance. I have fought my tail off to be back here to give you this opportunity. Now together we will either save our country, or people say that the people get the government they deserve. So I guess we deserve it. Yeah, thank you. Okay, if there's no more questions, God bless you guys. If you got a question, I'll answer it. Yes.
Are you going to simulcast this?
Yes, we will simulcast it. What happens is, at all the stadiums, we'll do it all at the same day, at the same hour. And I'm going to be at Nikola Tesla, in the room that Nikola Tesla died, at the New Yorker Hotel in New York. I'm going to be broadcasting live from there on all the football screens at all the stadiums. We're also going to be broadcasting this on worldwide television, on broadband worldwide, so that the world can see what's happening in America. I love you, buddy. Anyway, God bless you guys. It's our country. Let's just take it. Let's just take it back. You bet I'll sign this. Anybody wants to buy a book, I'll be happy to sign it.
Was Joe Gibbs here?
To give us, because they've been suppressing all the better stuff. Now, the reason for that always comes down to the same thing. It's all about money. It's all about money. But see, we want to bring the world an alternative, a better world alternative. That's why we're called Better World Alternatives. So we're going to show you some alternatives to that. Now, each of you got this sheet when you came in. It has two sides. One is about a DVD called The History of Free Electricity. What a ridiculous thing. Is there such a thing as free electricity? Well, sure there is. There's such a thing as free electricity, and your university knows about it. Everyone here, the university, whichever university is closest to you, you could go there and you could ask them, what's this guy talking about, free electricity? Do you guys know about free electricity? And they'll tell you about solar. Solar energy. By golly, it makes free energy when the sun's shining. They'll tell you about wind machines. How many people know that when a wind machine is blowing, because the wind's blowing on it, that's free electricity? It is free. It doesn't cost you anything to run that wind machine. It doesn't cost you anything to run that solar system, that high-tech thing, boiling water in a tin can on a roof. Man, I mean, that's high-tech, folks. Or even photovoltaics. Kind of like replicating what happens when you put your toes on sand. And then they'll tell you about the third way that they know to make free electricity. They know 3 of them. Hydroelectricity. If you happen to have water heading somewhere as it flows downhill, you can put it across a little turbine and you can produce electricity for free. So they'll tell you about the 3 ways they know to make free electricity. But if you get this series of tapes right here, on the second tape, you'll see 7 ways to make free electricity, and not one of them are any of those 3 we just mentioned. Not one of them. But see, instead of having solar energy that works when the sun's shining, or wind energy that works when the wind's blowing, is the sun shining all the time? Is the wind blowing all the time? Yeah, water's continuing to go down toward the ocean, but not everywhere, only wherever it goes. So you can only get that energy under those conditions. I know 7 ways to make free electricity, and every one of them work 24 hours a day, 365 days and nights a year, anywhere on this whole entire planet, from the Antarctica to the Arctic. All the time, 24 hours a day and night. Now you might ask yourself, why doesn't your university know that? Or you might just say, why does this crazy man think he knows that? Either way, I'm going to try tonight to inspire you. Tonight I'm going to try to get you to where you want to look into the things I'm talking about. Now tonight we don't have enough time because they said I can't stay for breakfast. If I could, I'd like to take all the time up to breakfast time, but I know you guys don't want to stay that long. So tonight what I'm going to try to do is give you an appetizer plate. Appetizer, not the whole meal. I'm going to try to get you interested where you say, you know something, we ought to look into this. Because all the information is available on our website. All the information is available in a sales training kit. Now that's the second thing I'm going to try to do tonight. I'm going to try to take some of you fine people tonight and turn you into salespeople for us. I'm hoping to inspire you to want to distribute some of these products for us so that we can get you, your activity, and all of your friends can get involved in this. Now, is there anyone here in the room that's making less than $100,000 a year? We got anybody like that? Anybody? I mean, if you have 10 friends and 10 relatives, then I know that I could show you tonight that you could retire within the next 1 to 2 years. Because if you're making less than $100,000 a year, I'm going to show you tonight how to make $100,000 a year every year for the rest of your life. On the work you do now, assuming you have 10 friends. So if you got 10 friends or relatives, you could actually set up that kind of income tonight. Now that's crazy, but I'm going to try to live up to that and show you that that's entirely possible tonight. See, you might say you're at the right place at the right time. Now, somebody would say, well, wait a minute, is this one of those multi-level marketing programs? Because some people don't like those. And I'm going to tell you, no, this is not one of those multi-level marketing programs. If you want to get involved in buying any of the products that I show you tonight, you can. If you want to get involved in selling any of the products I show you tonight, you can. Now, let's start out first by giving you the rules. You can get a 15% commission distributing any of the products that you see here tonight. Some of them are big ticket items, talking about sales as much as $250,000 for one sale. What's 15% of $250,000? It's a bunch of money. Or some of them. All righty, so there we go. We got some. I think that's all right. Yeah. My name is Dennis Lee. I am the Director of Marketing for Better World Alternatives and a few other companies. And I'd like to introduce you to the Chairman of the Board of our company. Heavenly Father, we're assembled here today. And we're assembled here to do something in your name, Lord. And This is your business. We're working in your field. And our president, the Lord Jesus Christ, and the secretary treasurer, the Holy Spirit, we pray that you would all be present here tonight. Many of these people already know you, but I just wanted to introduce you to them so they knew where this was really coming from. In Jesus' precious name, amen. We're going to have some fun tonight. We are. And I think you're going to see some really, really, really amazing things. I'm going to start off here telling you about something that's kind of interesting, kind of amazing. And I'll just read it for you real quick. It says, isn't this amazing? Here's the taxes that you pay. Now, some people start a seminar, they'll tell you a joke. But there's no joke about this. This is the taxes that we're all paying right now. And at least I get you awake anyway. Accounts receivable tax, building permit tax, capital gains tax, CDI, license tax, cigarette tax, corporate income tax, court fines and indirect form of taxes, dog license tax, federal income tax, federal unemployment tax, FUTA, fishing license tax, food license tax, fuel permit tax, gasoline tax, hunting license tax, inheritance tax, interest expense, which is tax on top of the money, inventory tax, IRS interest charges, which is tax on top of taxes, IRS penalties, which is taxes on top of taxes on top of taxes, liquor tax, local income tax, luxury taxes, marriage license tax, Medicare tax, property tax, real estate tax, septic permit tax, service charge taxes, Social Security tax, road usage taxes, state taxes, recreational vehicle tax, road toll booth taxes, school tax, state income tax, state unemployment tax, which is SUTA, telephone federal excise tax, telephone federal universal service fee tax, telephone federal state and local surcharge tax, telephone minimum usage surcharge tax, telephone recruiting and non-recruiting charges tax, telephone state and local tax, telephone usage charge tax, toll bridge taxes, toll tunnel taxes, traffic fines, another indirect form of taxation, trailer registration tax, utility taxes, vehicle license registration tax, vehicle sales tax, watercraft registration tax, well permit tax, workers' compensation tax, and hotel room taxes. And they're really high. I know that on the road here. I have to make a comment about this, and that is that only one of those taxes existed 100 years ago, and that was sales tax. That's it. And our nation at that time was the most prosperous nation in the world, and it had absolutely no national debt. It had the largest middle class in the world, and mom stayed home and raised the kids. What happened? Now we're getting close to $8 trillion worth of national debt. Kind of interesting, isn't it? Well, I want you to understand tonight that hopefully you have come into another dimension. This is another dimension. Now, not that old show, what was it, Twilight Zone or Toilet Zone or whatever you call that. But this is a whole other dimension here tonight. Hopefully tonight you're going to know something that you didn't know. Because see, our problem in America is we don't know what we don't know, and we don't know that we don't know it. That's our problem. And the Bible says the truth will set you free. So we're going to tonight try to open your reality a little bit and show you why they call you the consumer. Do you know why you're called the consumer? Because you're the one getting conned. That's why you're the consumer. Now, we're going to show you some very unique technologies that we have out on the market. And I've got two goals, actually three goals tonight. My first goal is I'm going to want to try to make you a customer. I'm going to show you things one right after the other, and I'll bet you anything you want to bet me that I can show you at least one thing that you say, man, you know something, I'd like to have one of those. Maybe even that lotion that we started out just showing you so that we would spare the time in this. But we're going to show you some products tonight. And our goal would be for you to say, you know something, I'd like to have that alternative. Every one of these products are alternatives to products that already exist. because most of the technologies that we receive today are not the best that they can give us. They're what they're willing to do this. Now, we're going to just stop talking about it and run it for you. One of the crazy things we're going to show you with this engine, then we're going to get even crazier over here, is we're going to show you can use just about anything for fuel. You can use pickle juice. Anybody here using pickle juice now? Pickle juice for fuel? That's exactly right. You can use Coca-Cola or Pepsi-Cola, and the Coke guys love this. I'm surprised they haven't got a pump out there for that. You can use anything at all that is liquid. Now, I'm going to try to make that point to you here. So you can use anything that's liquid, but you can also use 80% water, 20% gas. Now, if you used 80% water, 20% gas, what would that do to your gas mileage? That'd be 4 times right there. Now, I can actually modify it, get you 4 times on your gas mileage, and then you can use half gas and half water. What would that do to that? It'd give you 8 times gas mileage. Okay, now, so it's going to be kind of interesting because we're going to go ahead and do something for you. We're going to show you that you can use anything in here, even 80% water, 20% gasoline. Now, let's just start out getting crazy here. Here's some Pepsi. Anybody drink this stuff? Any Pepsi drinkers? First hand up. Okay, go ahead and take a drink of that. Open him up and drink him real quick here. All right, open it, yeah. Check it out. All right. Now, I'm not going to ask you if that's the real thing because that's Pepsi. That's not Coke, but... Okay, Pepsi? All right, that's Pepsi. Now, you're in luck, brother, because we'll just pour some of that in, and then Ricky will take that to you. And I think it's the law. If you use Pepsi, you got to use Coca-Cola. I think that's the law. But anybody drink this stuff, Coca-Cola? All right, we got a drink right here. Okay, go ahead and just, now tell me if that's a real thing. That's the real thing? Yep. All right, that's the real thing. Let's put some Coke and some Pepsi in there. Now, next thing we're going to use is Frappuccino. Anybody here drink Frappuccino? Got a Frappuccino drinker all the way in the inside there. Tell you what, I'm going to loosen that. Just go ahead and pass it down to him. Let him try that real quick. Let's keep moving here, though. Take a little chug of that real quick and verify it. Pass him back to me. And then we'll get him back to you. Don't worry. See, sometimes it's good to have a quick hand, a quick response. Now, the next thing we're going to use here, crude oil. Anybody drink this stuff? Crude oil. No takers here, huh? Thought we might have somebody from the Middle East or something that's just dedicated here. All right, now we're just going to take some gunky old black yicky oil. You see that? We're going to dump that in there. Now, what would happen if you put that in your gas in your engine? Anybody know? Smoke like crazy, right? I mean, you look like a flak machine going down the road. Now, this is the exhaust here. We're going to exhaust it right in the room, and you're not going to see any oil coming out of this at all. Now, we'll also put some pickle juice in here. Oh, man. Pickle juice. Dill pickle juice. See, we even got a dill pickle in there. Barbecue sauce. Oh, man, that's the real deal there. Let's clump some barbecue sauce up in there. Make us a nice fuel. Look at that barbecue sauce. Kikkoman soy sauce. So it'll work in Japan just as well as it will in America. It's nice to know. So the Oriental people, soy sauce. Oriental people, we can do it there as well. And, you know, the kids love ketchup here. This is not Heinz, by the way. Okay, so we got us some ketchup there. Get a good order of ketchup going. Some A1 steak sauce. I'll get the steak later. All right. Don't let me forget that, Ricky. We're going to go get a steak later.
I'll try.
And some Red Hot, original Red Hot hot sauce. Oh, yeah, that's it. Hey, that's the stuff right there. Red Hot. Now I know that thing's going to run. I'm not going to do that BAM thing that Emerald does all the time, but whoop. Ooh. Now, while this is running, I'm going to put my face down in here, and you're not going to see me tearing, and you're not going to hear me coughing, but I'm going to be breathing all the fumes that are coming out of this to show you that there's no pollution here at all. So if I'm going to have my face down here, I want something that smells good on this thing, okay? This engine can have bad breath. They're little bitty products, cost $15. Well, you wouldn't make much, 15% of that's not much, but you could sell a lot of those. So it's up to you if you want to do this. You can do it full-time, you can do it part-time, you can do it none of the time, you can do it once or twice or 3 times or 5 times. Okay, or you can just buy products, but that's my goal. Now, also on this sheet of paper, this is my brag sheet. Because on the front end, it talks about free electricity. And you can get that DVD outside. It's $10. And it'll show you the history of free electricity, our free electricity. But on the other side, you got research projects nearing completion. Now, that tape, that DVD tape, research projects, these are written in small ink to get them on the page, small print. But let me tell you something, there's more information here than there is in the Department of Energy. And you got to ask yourself this question, in the last 20 years, this is 10% of what I've been doing. Would you please compare this to what the Department of Energy's been doing for the last 10 years? I would love to be compared to them for the simple reason they haven't been doing much. Now, they have billions of dollars every year to do it on, and I only have had a few million when I started. I'm going to read a couple of highlights on this just to get you encouraged that you ought to get that tape. And by the way, if you don't like it, I'll buy it back from you, whatever you paid for it, any time. Superconductivity at room temperature. We actually did that. Do you know there was a guy who did superconductivity at 200 degrees below zero, and he got a Nobel Prize? I did it in Omaha, Nebraska a few years ago at room temperature. Didn't get any Nobel Prize or anything. Got harassed. Didn't get any prizes, though. Tesla coil concept. Did you know that a technology exists that can send live electricity through the air any distance at all with no wires? If you doubt that, get that DVD because you'll learn that and see that and even understand the concept of it. It was developed by a man named Nikola Tesla. We can send live electricity with no wires at all. V8 Chrysler engine, you can see it run closed loop, means no exhaust at all, on carbon dioxide, just sitting there running on CO2. Also, you can see a laser camera, a medical laser camera. This camera looks right into the human body. And we could be sitting here with this camera looking at this gentleman's heartbeat right on the monitor, television monitor right now, right through his clothes and everything. Dial it up and look inside of his veins and see if there are any occlusions. I could have a 6-foot concrete wall between me and you right now and be taking all y'all's picture right now, and you could be making faces at a television monitor through 6 feet of solid concrete. I don't know, Department of Energy got anything like this? I'm not aware of it. We got paint that transfers heat. You paint your driveway, then you walk out in the morning when it snows, get yourself a nice cup of coffee or cocoa and sit back, flip a button and watch your driveway defrost while your neighbor's out there with a shovel. Explosive-proof mesh, we can line any tank, any gas tank, even airplane tanks, and you can shoot at them all day long and you can't blow them up. You can light rags in them and let them burn out and they'll just go out. Full of gas or half full of gas or 10% gas, doesn't matter. Plastic houses that can be built by 2 people. You can build a 2-bedroom home in 3 days. 2 people. And they go together like a Lego set. And you got to get a color you like because they last 2,000 years. You never have to repaint them and you never have to re-roof them. The roof is good for the whole 2,000 years. No negative impact from the ultraviolet light. And a tornado can sit on top of it and twist the night away, and it ain't going nowhere. Biomass converter to run the engine in the car you're driving right now on corn, birdseed, or McDonald's French fries. A tornado engine, speaking of tornadoes, that creates 5,000 horsepower, and the engine weighs 174 pounds and is smaller than the one you got under your hood right now. 5,000 horsepower, and it runs on water vapors. That's the fuel. You see all this in that tape I'm talking about, that DVD. A personal helicopter, anybody here drive helicopters? A personal helicopter that anybody can get in, even me, and you pull back on it and it goes up, and you push down on it and it goes down, and you go left, it goes left, you go right, it goes right. Anybody can get in it and drive it immediately. A personal helicopter, anybody can fly. Not very costly either. It's just one passenger, but it's a lot of fun. And like I said, 7 ways to make free electricity. It'll also talk about anti-gravity. If anybody here doesn't understand that you can have anti-gravity. Propulsion device that can put your car in space using the engine in it in your driveway. A Pentecost computer. I speak into it in English, and it translates immediately into any language in the world. So whatever language, known language in the world, you'll be hearing it in that language. Bring fresh water anywhere in the world, any amount, absolutely free. Dematerialize and rematerialize matter over a telephone line as far as the line goes. I can take my coffee cup in New York and send it over the telephone line to California. That technology, all the things I'm saying and way, 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 way more already exist. How are we doing? If what I just said is right, do you think anybody's keeping any knowledge from you and me? Well, it is. And what have the other people done, the big businesses done, and the government done for the last 20 years? Nothing but harass me and try to keep me from bringing these technologies to you. That's all they've done. Well, that's all right, because we're going to bring them anyway, because how many people know that God is bigger than the government? And God is bigger than big business. And when we go with Him, we don't worry about any of the rest of this stuff. We don't sweat the small stuff, so to speak. Now I'm going to get into some technologies. I cannot show you everything tonight, but I'm going to show you our product line. The things I'm showing you now are available. You can buy them. We can do this. We can modify these things. Now, in the first place, we're going to get into this engine over here. Now, this engine right here is just like the internal combustion engine in your car. So if you've got an engine in your car, there's no difference between that engine and that engine right there. We didn't do anything to it, took it right out of the box. How many people heard about the 100-mile-an-hour carburetor? Every time I talk about this stuff, somebody tells me, well, there's a guy one time had a 100-mile carburetor, and he either got killed or bought off or something, but he's not out there anymore. Hear that story? Talk about an urban legend. And you know what that carburetor is called? It's called the Pogue carburetor. P-O-G-U-E, if you want to look it up on the internet. P-O-G-U-E. The Pogue carburetor. And it's real. It does exist. It was real. And what the Pogue carburetor does is it vaporizes your fuel as your fuel goes into your engine. That's what it does. Now, when you vaporize the fuel going into your engine, you're going to get a whole lot different performance out of it than you do whenever you don't vaporize it. You can go to Modern Marvels on the History Channel, a program called Gasoline, and you can actually see right there them talking about the most important thing on your engine is vaporizing your fuel. Now, it's interesting because the guys who manufacture the gas say you need to vaporize your fuel. The guys who build the engine say you need to vaporize your fuel. And then they put a computer in your car. And you know what that computer does? Makes doggone sure no vapors ever hit your engine. That's what it does. Now you're wondering, why would they do that? Well, they say if you don't vaporize your fuel, you get a misfire and you get poor gas mileage. Now you know the guy that's selling you your gas wants you to get great gas mileage. Welcome, welcome. Welcome to the real world. Now, we actually take your engine and modify it. Engine modifications, This is a modified engine right here. I own 6 vehicles that are modified to this technology. We got about 150 mechanics trained to modify engines to this technology. And as soon as this tour is over, we're opening the school again and we're going to start modifying engines. What will it cost you to modify your engine? About $1,500. We'll modify your engine. Well, what will that do for me? Get you up to 4 times the mileage you got now. Anybody in this room wouldn't pay $1,500 to get 4 times your gas mileage? Wouldn't? Yeah, you would. Okay. Well, I'm sure you're not the only one, too. Now, all we do is make sure that fuel is vaporized when it goes into the engine. We do it by taking the exhaust from the engine, having the hot exhaust come out, and the fuel come past that hot exhaust. There are 5 things that this little reactor rod does to your fuel. I don't have time to teach them to you. Go to the internet, get the information, and if you're technical, you learn all about it. And at the end of that, you're going to be saying, he's right, he's right. I know you are. That's why I say go. But one of the things that happens is we vaporize the fuel. I can't tell you all about it, but actually whatever your fuel is, we also separate all of the compounds in your gasoline or in your fuel into elements. So when they come up here, they're fully vaporized, but they're ready to go in your engine. They're not compounds, they're elements. Now, elements burn so clean that you never, ever, ever have to change the oil in that car again. Forget oil changes. I'm sorry, you probably enjoy doing that, but it's all right. If your engine manufacturer says you got to change oil every 3,000 miles, get under there, put it in a pan, close it back up, and just pour it back in the top again every 3,000 miles. You'll change it. But you never have to change it again as long as the engine runs. I've never changed the engine. I've never changed this one. And we ran this one across America in the year 2000. So 6 years we've been doing